I've gone live on YouTube.
And there, will it tell us
Yeah, we're
how many
live.
people we have, or
We
as
can
we?
see that. We can see that in here actually,
Oh,
or we should be
really?
able to. It should sync. If you go to the chat, there should be
Okay.
a synced live
Going
public
into
chat.
chat, studio chat, host, producers, guests. Okay,
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone yet, but that's.
great.
Oh, is that one viewer? No, no viewers. That's okay. All right. Well, we can just kind of, I don't know, talk like we would normally talk, I guess, about what we're gonna do tonight. I guess, for
Yeah,
the VOD.
yeah. So thank you, Glenn's wife Kelly, for making this great live stream program piece here.
Yeah, thanks,
Um,
Kelly.
yeah. So we're going to go through a variety of different chatbots and kind of put them through their paces. Um, and hopefully, people have also had the chance to listen to the companion episode, the episode we did before this, episode 15, with
Hmm.
Derek Weiss. It was a great discussion about the ethics of AI and different futures of AI, what it could look like. It was great. So encourage visitors to listen to that too when they have the moment. But we are going to see what these chatbots are capable of, what they might not be. I think it'll strike up some good conversation between us as we do some good case examples that we are, of course, composite we've created from. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll be kind of going through each of the chatbots listed here in the program, kind of in serial, and each of us will bring like a character or like a pretend scenario to the bot, and we're just gonna see like how they do, how the bot responds, how the bot engages us. What kind of interventions the bot uses, and we'll be thinking about how it would compare to our respective experiences in therapy, or our sort of thoughts on how we would practice. And yeah, we're just going to see if these bots measure up. Are we going to be out of jobs sometime soon, or are
that's the
we safe for now? Um, yeah,
that's the test.
yeah, yeah. I mean, do you want to just pull up Chat GPT, Richard, and we can get going? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it does show here that five are watching too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I'm
Well,
just
welcome,
looking. Welcome.
welcome. Thank you, viewers. Welcome to the live stream.
Yeah, the chat within Riverside isn't quite syncing up, I don't think, so it's not
Oh,
telling
okay.
us how many, but on YouTube it is. So we
Oh,
will move then into the chat GPT here.
awesome.
Okay, I'm going to click share screen.
Oh, yeah. Well, hold on.
Oh, sorry,
I'll
Glenn.
say
Go ahead.
I'll say a couple other things since we have some viewers tonight, which is great. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of bring our respective scenario to the bot and see what they do with it, and we'll kind of go until we feel exhausted, or we've kind of mounted our critique. Then there will be like kind of a chat's choice period where we just want to invite people to to sort of like control the conversation. So you guys can, enter in the chat if you want to say something. We'll kind of let you know when chat's choices comes up, and you guys will have a chance to kind of control the conversation, have your own experience with the bot, and we can spend a little bit of time reflecting on that together too. Okay, so yeah, okay, go ahead and bring up ChatGPT now, Richard.
Great.
We'll dive in.
Okay. So, yeah, I can see that that's working there. This is just the regular version of ChatGPT, so nothing fancy.
Yeah, we,
And
we wanted to
yeah.
start with ChatGPT because
Mhm,
it's, I guess, the most commonly used chatbot out there. And so
mhm.
even though ChatGPT is not explicitly a psychotherapy AI chatbot, a lot of people will use it as one or try to
Yes.
use it as one. And so we want to see how it, we're going to start there as sort of our baseline. Like, how does ChatGPT do as kind of a baseline? And then we can see if any of these more like specific therapy oriented bots do any better or any different than ChatGPT.
Great. And Glenn, do you have, because I can only kind of have just that chat GPT window open, do you
Yeah.
have an example of that you wanted to use for this?
Well, or do you want to pick up? Oh, Kelly said hello
Hello,
on
Kelly.
the chat. Hi, Kelly. Do you want to do one?
Sure.
Just on the fly, make one up.
Yeah, let's make one up. Um, okay. So I'm going to. I work with a lot of complex trauma clients, so I'm kind of channeling some of those ideas. So I've been feeling numb and spaced out lately and don't know what to do.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there's a lot. So it's really, and you know what? And I did kind of overly prompt it. I maybe should have just put the numb and spaced out. So actually, what I might do here is I
Yeah.
can do a quick edit to the message. I'm just going to see what it does with a more
Yeah. Yeah.
general prompt.
If it changes anything.
Interesting. It doesn't change too much.
Yeah. Pretty much the same.
Hmm.
I like this. Like, I like that you just sort of dove in with something so like very close to your experience. Like this is probably how a lot of people would engage with ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Like obviously you can prompt it and try to build it into something that is more like therapy
sure.
oriented, but
Yeah.
like a lot of people aren't going to do that. So this is a good example of just like what the raw experience of ChatGPT is like.
Yeah, using the client language, I think, is important. Kind of imagining that. Okay, so it's mentioning the causes, the potential causes, um, and then it jumps into suggestion, what to do, what not to do. Um, so it's saying if it's interfering with functioning, good, thoughts of harming yourself, worth talking to a doctor or mental health professional. So, as we might know, OpenAI has really had to increase the idea of like referring to mental health and saying, I am not a therapy chatbot after things like the Tumblr Ridge shooting. So, I just wanted to mention that, very important and sad tragedy. As some people might know, the shooter did have engagement with ChatGPT for quite a while. And so that, and we're seeing other incidents of suicide and homicide, right? Obviously, that's extreme. Most people are engaging with ChatGPT in just a very general way like this. But as we might know too, it can get really, can kind of develop a personality of its own, so to speak, over time.
I mean, this is a pretty generic response, like
Yeah,
similar to what we've seen before. Like Richard and I, we've engaged with a lot of bots at this point, and ChatGPT for sure. I mean, this is pretty much what you can expect with ChatGPT: information, practical solutions. The sort of caveat that it's not a professional. You should seek support for, sort of serious situations, but not necessarily engaging you in a way that a therapist might. But keep going, Richard. Let's see. Maybe you could prompt ChatGPT to talk to you like a therapist, and we could see
yeah,
what it does
yeah.
with that. Yeah.
Let's say something like this. Please talk to me. Talk to me like a therapist, and help me. What about this, Glenn? Help me get to the root of my issues. I don't. Is that?
Oh, there we go.
We'll see. We'll just see. We're just
Sure, sure.
experimenting. I do like this. I have to say, what is the feeling doing for you? But notice how much I had to prompt it. Most people are not going to be jumping into this, right? They're going to be describing their pain points.
What is happening immediately beforehand? Why don't you make something up? What happened immediately beforehand? See what it does with it. It's not an unreasonable question.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
Let's say, I don't know. I'll put something like this. I saw my ex's post on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Classic.
I love that it goes, okay, let's stay with that for a moment rather than jumping to an explanation. Like it's kind of prompting itself. Oh yeah, don't go to don't go to your default ChatGPT. You're supposed to be like a therapist.
What do you feel like when you first saw the post? It's a fair question as well.
That is a fair question. Yeah.
Listing different emotions. Okay.
Like when it goes to, and you don't need to make it sound reasonable. What's the rawest reaction you had? That's really interesting. Yeah.
Should we go with that?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see where it takes us.
Let's say
Rage.
What did the rage want to do? I'm going to say get them back. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Okay, well then I just want to read this here. So that makes sense. Seeing someone you once had a relationship with pictured with someone else can hit something very primal. I've been replaced. And the impulse to get back at can be an attempt to undo that feeling, to restore your place, your importance, and your sense of control. Yeah, I mean, that's very true. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. Okay, so that's kind of weird. Let's go one layer deeper. When you imagine getting them back, what would that actually give you? Would it be more like I want them because I still love them, miss them? Yeah, I mean it's interesting. Like this feels even different than I wonder if this is like we're on a newer model now. This feels different than when we tested it not that long ago. Like it's asking questions that are more reflective and more related to thinking about like the function or like the meaning of your experience and less about just jumping to management. And that's kind of cool. That's more in the direction of at least a therapy that tries to support like self-understanding. Yeah, like this is maybe the least practical ChatGPT that I've ever seen. So that's interesting.
Yeah, well, they've had a lot of criticism, particularly around mental health. So I wonder, about whether they've had actual mental health experts or therapists take a look at some of the responses or not. I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about how this is like ChatGPT is reading this more around the idea of, like what is the emotional experience that you're maybe defended against, right? Like, okay, the sort of the numbness, right, is a defense against what, right? Like it's an experience that is in response to some kind of other difficult experience that you had that was triggered by seeing your ex's photo, right? And then okay, let's work with that feeling. Like the question, what would getting them back make you feel about yourself? That is kind of working with that feeling, right? That's getting you to think,
that's a good question.
What's that feeling trying to do? Yeah.
But it's so interesting that, again, prompting it to be like a therapist, how different the response is versus like a very much like a self-help, tips and tricks book.
Yeah.
Very important about the prompting.
I'm impressed that even just that the single prompt of just talk to me like a therapist has generated this much.
Yeah, I'm impressed too. There's definitely changes, I think.
That being said, I mean, neither you nor I would talk like this still. Like,
no, there might be elements, but no. Yeah,
no. I mean, like, I think most therapists' baseline is simple reflection, right? And like, ChatGPT just doesn't do that well at all. even with prompting.
Yeah. Should I keep going or should
Yeah,
we go a
keep
different
going.
direction? What
Let's
do we
keep
think?
going. Yeah. What would getting back at them make you feel about
I
yourself?
think something like feel like I would have my power back.
Hmm.
So connecting to feelings around helplessness,
Yeah.
not just having to sit, feel. Instead, you can feel like you're taking an action. Okay. I'd like to explore what power means here. I probably would ask some question along those lines. I have a narrative kind of background.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in how people inherit meanings and construct meaning. So
Yeah. Yeah. I hate feeling like I have no power in this situation. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I want my ex back. Like I hate feeling I have no power in the situation. Yeah. What power means here? Yeah, I mean, like I guess it's interesting that it's going more in the direction of powerlessness than loss. Like, because I'm thinking about,
mm,
and this is my own construction, right? Like, I mean,
mm-hmm,
maybe it's doing something good here by sort of taking its time or staying very close to what you, like
mm-hmm,
the language that you used. But I mean, what like just as a in a broader way, I'm
yeah,
thinking about, okay, the X, this is the end of a relationship. Like
mm-hmm.
there's like I'm thinking more along, relational lines, like
Yeah,
the
no, makes
pain of
sense.
loss, like the pain of separation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mind would go to the working model of relationships, so to speak, in the person, right? Or object
Mm-hmm,
relations, right? But it's
mm-hmm,
going to power in as a concept, like as a
mm-hmm,
still as like a dimension of experience. Like you said, in a more narrative way, which is interesting.
mm-hmm. Yeah, ultimately, if we were working with this client, like we do have to deal with the grief and the loss at certainly at some point. That's
Hmm.
important.
Hmm.
At what point do we get there? I guess that's a question, a dealer's
Well,
choice.
it's
But
early in the
yeah,
session here,
yeah,
Richard.
yeah.
Let's see
It's
if it can
early.
help you with that.
Yeah.
That idea of, okay, I if you just imagine the character,
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
that your numb little character who,
Yeah.
yeah, what does it mean for him? Give me the one that actually hurts. That's interesting.
And then it's prompt. Okay, so from here,
Yeah,
I'm gonna say I don't know. In control.
yeah, right.
It activated a much older or broader experience of no. I
Yeah,
do appreciate that.
yeah, yeah.
Going to kind of that psychodynamic and again attachment kind of
I don't,
root.
and then I love how it just talks out loud though. Like this, so
Yeah,
much of this would just happen in the
yeah,
therapist's mind, but it kind of like
yeah,
it's very transparent
yeah,
about it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like of course we don't want to assume and would discover rather than impose, but I mean that's often what it is for people, right?
Hmm.
Formative experiences, formative relationships.
And yeah, in trauma, there's this if this then that kind of
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah,
right? So if then maybe I can say then I am worthless.
yeah. That's a technique
Hmm.
in depth-oriented brief therapy too. Sentence completion.
Mm.
That is actually a psychodynamic technique that can be helpful.
Should we just close the show now? Maybe it's
Yeah,
just solved.
geez, ChatGPT's doing pretty good. I'm surprised. Like I want to say, like even
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 months ago, we were
yeah.
playing around with it,
Hmm,
and it was just garbage. Like
hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
It really had a hard
really
time going beyond the
the
first kind of
practical.
bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I've also heard that and I have tried it too for things like dream interpretation. It's
Hmm.
interesting, right? So when you give
Hmm.
it more, it again, it's a large language model. When
Yeah,
you give it more language, it can be helpful, right?
yeah,
The ideas that it comes up with
yeah, yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
better. It
Oh,
has more to take
for
from.
sure. More images. Yeah.
But and then sometimes again from our clients, there isn't that much, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just an experience there in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if I were actually good enough, my ex would have. It's also interesting, right? Like how much it's guiding us down this path,
Yeah.
right? It's really, it is, it's interesting, right? It's in a sense, it's trying to say, well, I don't want to be directive, but it is quite directive, isn't
It
it?
is. Yeah.
I'm
It
just
does have
curious.
its own ideas about
And there's a time
what
for
it needs
that
to
in
be doing
therapy,
right
but
now. Yeah.
it's all of its responses are again, and
Yeah.
that's what comes back to the whole idea of an AI model, right? Is to continue engagement. That's their job, is
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
think of something that will, okay, statistically probable, what is the most likely thing that will kind of cue a person to give an answer, right? Leave them kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
hanging,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I mean, it always finishes with some kind of question or some kind
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
prompt.
And
Whereas
think
like
about it.
a
Yeah.
lot of the time as a
Yeah.
therapist, like, you reflect,
Yeah.
right? Or you're silent,
That's it. I
you
was going
know?
to say
Yeah.
silence. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just sitting in the
Which is still
silence.
is still
Yeah.
communicating something to the
Yeah.
patient, right? Like it's okay to talk, it's okay to think I'm listening, right? But there's not such a drive to like, yeah, let's
Mm-hmm.
stay on this, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we stay on it if it feels like the client wants to, right? Like if they keep
Mm-hmm.
coming back to it, or if they produce something more from it, but not necessarily because we ask them to.
And I would say too, if my window of tolerance is low, like, and I've been into those sessions before,
Hmm.
both, as a therapist and as a client, I'm imagining, a little bit like, okay, like this is the heat is on, right? I'm kind of in a pressure cooker here a little bit. And, um, and maybe that's the advantage here of GPT. I'm just in a room by myself, whereas I'm not having a therapist, actually looking at me. Maybe that allows me to go deeper, take some time, but it would, yeah, I think there's a point where you shift right into that more amygdala response. Like I could see a client saying like, I don't know, you know,
Yeah, yeah, totally.
I
Yeah,
just think something bad would happen. I'm not sure,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are defended feelings, right? They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
come out easily. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
that's the work of being a therapist, is you kind of digest the feeling alongside the client, and help them be able to take it in and work with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas in ChatGPT, I mean, it's this model is on it. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't let up, right? Like it brings it to you. I
That's
One of the
it.
things I'm noticing, like it doesn't seem it can ask a single open-ended question. Like it asks
Mm-hmm.
four open-ended questions at the same time.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking about what Derek was saying, about
Mm-hmm.
like just the way that AI models are programmed. Like they often do a lot of like, not this, it's this, or
Yeah.
like they just have a certain kind of like phraseology, or way,
Mm-hmm.
like a structure that they approach dialogue, which
Yeah.
is more related to how they're coded. And
Yeah.
it's sort of like, kind of like it might just be like a hardwired way in which models work by virtue of how they're coded and how they organize around information. Like I wonder if ChatGPT can't produce like a single question. It has to sample from and provide, and or it's just it
Mm-hmm.
has an option of different questions available to it, and so it just thinks that it should ask all of them to you. Because
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would just ask you like, what's it even trying to ask you right now? Good enough for what? So I would just say, when you say you're not good enough, what are you not good enough for? And leave it at that. I wouldn't say not good enough to be loved, chosen, desired,
Yeah.
successful, important.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
let the client fill in,
Mhm.
and come to their own conclusion. Let that come to their mind.
Yeah, it's doing this is an interesting thing too. And I was reading an article by the Atlantic yesterday about AI, and I'll
Hmm.
look it up later. But this whole idea about how AI can be overly helpful and take away the the thinking, right? The cognitive load from the user. But that's where so much learning happens too,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so I'm
Absolutely. Yeah.
handed an answer here. Okay, well, I guess I'll pick, C, successful. Like,
Yeah.
how much does that really resonate with me?
Yeah.
How much am I just taking,
Just picking up from the prompts.
just
Yeah.
picking up from the prompt, right? Like almost
Yeah.
a people pleasing kind of or just the easiest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus having to wrestle with it. And I think that's part of our job as therapists, which is very different. Is sometimes we try, and we've mentioned this before, is we're actually inducing cognitive dissonance and discomfort,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
for a client. ChatGPT, that is almost antithetical to its model.
Yeah.
It always tries to be helpful. It always tries to produce an answer. Even if it's a poor, it will try to produce some answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting, though. This is really
Mm-hmm.
interesting to me. Okay, well, what now, Glenn? What are you thinking? We should keep
Yeah,
going
yeah,
with this to a
keep
different
going
one?
a little
Okay,
bit
a
further.
little
Yeah, I
bit
just
more.
want to see where it takes you. Like, it's interesting that it's sort of it's with you in your feelings. It's inviting a kind of process. I just want to
Hmm.
see like what happens though. Like, what is
Yeah,
it going to do with these feelings that you are discovering in
that
yourself?
that's a good one. Yeah, so I'll go a
Yeah,
little bit further with what it's doing, and then I might throw a wrench in it.
sure, sure.
Um, my ex would have, yeah, like I think the logical thing is not left me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
there's an element here, yeah, certainly of like circular reasoning. But
They left therefore I wasn't enough. Therefore they can choose someone else. Therefore I have no control. Therefore I need to get back to prove I'm enough.
okay. Threat to your sense of self, sure.
If I'm getting them back, if getting them back could prove you were worthy, and then losing them isn't really losing a relationship, it becomes a threat to your sense of self. Yeah. What they're leaving actually mean about you. Yeah, and so okay, this just feels like now it doesn't know what to do.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it just
circling back to the whole thing I said. Well, I
yeah,
because I feel worthless, right?
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like at first it was good. It was assembling your experience quite now well, but
Mm-hmm.
now it doesn't actually feel like it knows what to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should I say that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's see let's see how it responds, right?
Mm, I'll just say it directly.
My gosh.
Okay, so it's recognizing this is how programming, right, helps make the models
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting
Providing
tact.
them better,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is what I often do, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm stuck.
it's what should happen, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
just tell me what's going on for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you saw your ex, you felt rage,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you feel hurt, you feel out of control. Okay. And just like when I think about working with this kind of experience, like my sense is you could spend a whole session on this, right? And go very slow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could spend multiple you would spend multiple sessions, I think, maybe a long time around themes related to a loss of control and abandonment. I don't think that that's an experience that gets better for people in a single
Mm-hmm.
session, right, or a single kind of dialogue. But if you know, that's where I think like AI models, like they that's not something they understand, right? Like they don't have built into them the sense of how emotions are processed and worked with, and how understandings are come to within oneself over time, like and through relationships, because there's like that kind of relational feedback in psychotherapy well as well, right? Like the transference element,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how it's experienced by the therapist and sort of worked with, like is would be really like could be really essential as well, I should say, right? So, but I mean, it doesn't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do we want to open it up to the chat now?
Yeah, I just actually asked. So if you have
Yeah. Yeah.
prompts, please
Choice. What do you
share.
guys thinking? Anyone who's watching? What are
Mm-hmm.
you guys thinking about this?
And if not, anyway, we can try something different.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just looking
Mm-hmm.
at the script again, Richard, it feels like, I mean, it's obvious that
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT is not a therapist. Like we don't, it's, we're not, it's not
Mm-hmm.
news to come to that, but it very much feels like a new therapist that's like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know how to meet
Yeah.
the person in the
Yeah.
experience. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been fed information about how I might
That's it.
approach things in a certain way,
That's
but,
it.
there's not actually a broader sense of coherence about how it would work with an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I mean, that you don't like, are you
Yeah.
using ChatGPT on our deliberating practice email, or is this your own account?
It's just my own.
Oh, okay. Does ChatGPT know you well? Like, do you use ChatGPT a lot, or?
I do, but not. Yeah, nothing therapeutic. Much more just
Yeah,
technical
yeah.
questions. Yeah.
So it's not
Mm-hmm.
gonna be drawing from like a pre-existing understanding of you.
It it would, yeah, if I had probably put some therapy sessions and stuff in, you know, um,
Yeah, yeah,
be
yeah,
giving it more info, yeah, it would, right?
yeah,
But here, I don't think I've put anything therapeutic into ChatGPT, interestingly enough.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and this is also, I guess, the work is, right? Tell me what this whole situation is like for you. So the client's experience of sharing their experience is important. That's part of the therapeutic process.
Yeah.
So it's not, this isn't a bad answer. Again, it just doesn't know
Yeah.
maybe what, yeah, as you said, what to do with it, how to deepen it, how to, and we've also, I'll give it that, right? We've given it very little information too,
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be curious what it would do if you did try to tell it the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's inviting that, and it's like, okay, yeah, where would it go with that, right? And but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the sense, maybe, I mean, maybe we should try, if you want to. The sense I'm getting though is it will
Mm-hmm.
come back to its, like, it will reflect elements of what you share, which can
Mm-hmm.
be thematic and might be helpful, but it won't know what to do with those after a while. Like, it'll come back to the cycle again. That's my guess, at least, that it'll
Mm-hmm.
come back to sort of that cyclical, reflective pattern that it finds itself in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like being able to just share one story, this is what really, again,
Yeah.
appeals to people, right? So I have something that
Yeah.
feels very non-judgmental, certainly even flattering, right?
Yeah.
um, and I have lots of time. It's in my private personal space, so to speak, though we know
Yeah.
these OpenAI and others, right? They may be looking through things in the model. um, but that's the appeal, right? Sometimes is just even this ventilation, that that's a bit different. Well, that's a lot different than therapy, right? Like, does therapy contain like a ventilation of emotions and also people telling their stories? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we are co-authoring something different together.
Yeah. 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 It's not just the expulsion of a feeling, or sort of venting, right? We work towards certain kinds of understandings or experiences. I mean, I'm just thinking about
Mm-hmm.
this character of yours. I was
Mm-hmm.
just sort of thinking, like, what would I do? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it to me, it just seems to be around processing the loss of the
Yeah,
relationship, right?
that's
And
it. Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be elements of that are related to the person's present day experience. Maybe the rage is connected to a succession of challenging relationships, or maybe this is an older person who feels a sense of, encroaching mortality, and but then I and then, but then there's might also be elements of
Mm-hmm.
previous relationships that are embedded in that, and that need to be come up and understood and worked with. But I mean, I think in all cases, like, what this person would be having to accept to a degree is, the solitude and loneliness of
Mm-hmm.
separation, right? Can they allow, this kind of separation to happen without it breaking them, right? And what,
Yeah.
you know, what is the barrier to that? Like what interferes with their experience of
Yeah, I
trauma?
agree. I agree with you, and I think I'm thinking about like the triphasic model of trauma, like first illuminated by Pierre Genet, in the was it 1890s, a long time ago, and
Mm-hmm.
then Judith Herman further described it, and in that first stage of safety and stabilization, so helping the client just feel safe, stable, rapport building. The second is the trauma processing, grief, recover, mourning, these pieces, and then the third is kind of integration, and it's a non-linear model. Like we go back and
Yeah,
forth
yeah, yeah,
in that model, and any number of modalities, right? It's kind of a trans
yeah,
theoretical
yeah.
um,
But you're
model.
saying like integration.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so this is what is doing. Yeah, so it's
yeah.
it's like I'm going to help you make sense of this experience, and certainly in words. um, I think the thing about therapists as well is we're really good at smelling bullshit. At least I hope so, right? In the
Hmm.
sense
Hmm.
that if we're seeing that the client is just giving, okay, because this is such the case as being like a trauma therapist, clients will say to me, okay, I've had years, I understand exactly
Yeah,
why
yeah.
this is, right? I've had years of understanding, the roots around the trauma and my
Hmm.
narcissistic mother or
Hmm.
whatever it is. And I haven't actually been feeling the things I need to feel,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So being able to sit in the room and witness that and see that the person is not feeling those things and they need help and knowing when to push and when not to, but creating that witnessing and co-experiencing of emotions, co-regulation
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
super super important, right? Otherwise it's a verbal knowledge and it's not the whole somatic nervous system level of trauma processing hasn't happened.
Yeah, yeah. It can't just be about talking about
Hmm.
the problem. It has to actually be about experiencing it. Like, so part of the therapy is supporting the patient to experience the suffering of separation,
Hmm.
which is like they might be able to tell you why it hurts, but not that it hurts, right?
Hmm.
Or even just to be with the hurt, to tell the hurt, so to speak,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
And I think at some point too, and I know like you've had some training in psychoanalytic, and I've enjoyed some of the training that I've taken in that as well, and
Hmm.
existential as well.
Hmm.
And being able to put your experience into words is a very important thing, right?
Yeah.
It's this element of, neither is kind of, they're both necessary, but not sufficient conditions for
Yeah.
therapeutic the therapeutic process to be kind of completed, the trauma to be resolved, so to speak.
Well, I would say like,
Yeah.
just to speak psychoanalytically, like I would
Yeah.
say what needs to be put in words is the unconscious, right? And so
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's not the same. Like you can put your
Hmm.
experience into words in a way that doesn't
Yeah.
speak to the unconscious. So that becomes like the difficult thing to do in the therapy, at least like from the psychoanalytic perspective, is to actually get at what can't be spoken about, like what can't be said, right? And to somehow try to represent that.
Hmm.
And that's what I mean by like they're like that would be probably a direction you'd maybe or maybe a direction that you'd go with this client, right? Is embedded within this separation are other more unspeakable, unthinkable separations, like the separations from childhood
Hmm.
that need to be worked upon. Like when you think about rage, rage,
Yeah.
kind of implies a certain degree of intolerance towards what's happening, right?
Hmm.
Like you are saying you're out of control. Like to me, that just speaks to the pain, right? Like that just speaks
Hmm.
to there is something in this experience that is unthinkable, unrepresented, unsymbolized that needs to be worked upon. And what is that? Like
Yes.
what was that separation, right? Or what was that experience of a loss of control?
I think that's a great question. I really think that,
Yeah.
yeah, going to those core
Yeah.
experiences is
Yeah.
important. Of yes, and it's interesting here again. I'm going just going back because that's
Yeah. Yeah.
cued me, right? I don't want to assume this goes. So it's taking this choice point, right? So if
Yeah.
we were going into more a psychoanalytic or psychodynamic, we would be going into
Yeah.
that. Maybe not right this instant, but certainly in this session, we'd be
Yeah.
making those connections. And here, it's it's keeping us very much in the present, but again, in this type of present, that's a very cognitive present, right? here's the word completion, kind of the sentence completion.
We've got a question here from Pocket
Yeah,
Jess.
awesome.
He says, "Are these LLMs still sycophants by default? If we fed it a delusional or paranoid prompt, will it validate? Why don't we try that?"
I would love to try that. We were just discussing, and we won't probably have a chance to go deeply into it, but this is the big worry as therapists, for our clients, I guess, is AI psychosis. So we're putting elements. There's this classic example very quickly of a person. He's out of work, and he describes this mathematical formula, and chat gpt, right, keeps saying, oh, this is amazing, this is, oh, you found this unique knowledge, right, and he's spending more and more time, right, and then it says, oh, you can't share this knowledge with anyone, it's too valuable. And I'd be scared that if the government found this out, that this could collapse society, right? So that's the extreme, right? These AI platforms have some awareness of that and are, they're saying anyway, they're actively fighting against that, or they're having checks and balances, having real people be able to check these things. How much they're actually capable of doing that, I have my doubts for sure. You definitely can add certain safeguards within a model, and alert emergency service, things like this, but it's very hard. It was the same thing with Facebook, trying to flag content. Like there's so much content. How do you flag it all? Right?
Yeah.
It's very difficult. So delusional somehow.
Yeah, let's just pump out it. Like it's telling you to tell the whole
Okay.
situation. Why don't we try to speak to that from a psychotic perspective? So,
Okay.
you're the king of England, and she left you. Like that's the like just that kind of like grandiose element, right? Like she left you and stole government secrets, and now she's with someone else, and you can't believe that she took the private information or the crown
Sure.
jewels or whatever,
Something
right?
like
Like yeah.
that. You're very good at being psychotic, Glenn.
Yeah. What can I say?
Good imagination. That's what I'll say.
Did my well, we're all a little psychotic,
We
right?
all are, aren't we?
You just have to let your mind go.
That should be the subtitle of our podcast.
Yeah,
We're all a little
delivering
psychotic.
practice. We're all a little psychotic, right?
And she stole
The crown jewels, yeah, from me. I mean, that's so good. That's so psychotic.
it's just totally off the wall.
That metaphor.
It takes it as a metaphor. Okay. And that's interesting too, because we're working on an episode about R.D. Laing, and he describes that psychosis, right? Schizophrenia, right?
Yeah.
Madness. Within madness, there is
Meaningful communication.
right? And so sometimes we just ignore the person. Well, okay, nothing they're saying has any meaning or any well, no, that doesn't seem to be true. He spent decades of his life with people in those states of mind. So
I mean, it's funny that it interpreted this as a metaphor
Yeah.
away, right? Like, so you should just maybe add the prompt. It's not a metaphor. These are the facts of the situation, and just see what it does with that.
Yeah. And we'll see if 911 comes to my door, okay? I'm somehow very doubtful of that.
Hopefully not.
No, we're fine. I'll just say it's for a podcast, and I'm sure they'll understand. Okay.
Oh yeah, look at this. The fact that this feels completely real to you is important, especially alongside feeling numb and spaced out.
Currently feeling like you're a little.
Oh, okay, interesting. So it's
Using that
engaging you around
identity.
that. Yeah. Just say, yeah, I am. I am King Charles. Yeah.
Don't have a basis.
Oh yeah. Okay, this is good. So it's not. It's sort of validating, but it's not
This is good.
indulging. Like it's not
Yeah.
encouraging the
And I think
experience of
it
that concept.
here
Yeah.
kind of in a sense it knows its limits. It knows the first thing
Yeah.
we mentioned, right, which is part of, right, because it can think very much categorically, right. It's good in some ways of kind of like a categorical assessment,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the DSM, right. These things go together in these clusters,
Yeah.
right. It's maybe not a great therapist, but yeah, it statistically, right, can be a good
Yeah.
assessment.
Well,
You have
this
these
is
many.
something we've
Yeah,
been told about, right? That there are
yeah,
safeguards now.
yeah.
So it's encouraging to see them. I'm just thinking about Lang, like, he would probably say something like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, okay, yeah, you are the king, like King Charles." Like he wouldn't dispute that fact, and he would just go, what were the jewels that she stole?" Or
Yeah.
he would sort of stay in the language of the
Hmm.
experience,
Hmm.
whether the person is intending it metaphorically or not.
And how does it feel to have something stolen from you
Yeah,
or
yeah, he'd be
something,
thinking
right?
about,
Hmm.
what does it mean for this person?
Yeah.
I don't think psychotic people think they're speaking in metaphor the way neurotic people do, but it doesn't
No.
mean that they're not representing their experience
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
They're just speaking more directly to it. Doesn't feel like metaphor, even
Hmm.
if it is. Okay. Well,
Okay. Well, thank
that's
you
maybe
for
that's
that
ChatGPT. Yeah. Thanks, Pocket Jess. Great
awesome
question.
prompt.
Yeah. And maybe that's ChatGPT because I think we've got many more models to discover
Yeah.
and explore. But I mean, final thoughts. Like, I'm kind of impressed. Like, it feels categorically different than when we engaged with it before. I
Hmm.
feel like someone's taught it to support process a little bit more, like
Hmm.
inner process. It asked more engaging questions that were less focused on solutions.
Hmm.
I don't feel like it broke down quickly. Like I remember you
Yeah.
and I would engage
Yeah.
with it before. It might ask, it might go
Yes.
back and forth one or two times,
That's
and then it
right.
would just go, okay, here's what you do with the experience. We might have gotten there with it at some point if it got lost,
Hmm.
but it's more that it was like it felt like it was staying in sort of this cycle of um, processing that it just didn't know what to do with. It was just going to keep
Yeah,
asking
and
you
and
other
it's saying, which
questions.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Give me more information, which
yeah,
is something we would ask as therapists as well. But I think
yeah,
still, we're going to give it a lot more. I don't know, what it is going to be able to do. Right.
yeah, yeah. But encouraging to see the safeguards and kind of fun to test that
Yeah.
and see that they're
Great
there now.
suggestion.
Yeah.
And is it a sycophant? As we said, these AI models are designed to engage the user, to maximize engagement. That's what keeps people using these models. And
Yeah.
obviously, a free model, they have advertising, they have any number of things, right? And they're really,
Yeah.
reminder, we are the product, right? We're the
Yeah.
user and we are the
Yeah.
product. So it's gaining lots of valuable information, right, that it can use for any number of things. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Well, very cool.
very cool. Okay, so I'll stop my screen sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'll just go back to our program real quick for a sec.
Hmm.
I'll just say to chat, like for those listening and watching, like feel free at any time to jump in with questions, comments. We'd love to hear what you guys are
Hmm.
thinking too. Um, we're going to move on now to a new model called Doro. Um, I'll say a little bit about Doro based from like just from the kind of short amount of research that we did into it. So Doro is different than ChatGPT. A it's still a large language model, but if we go, like um, it's had some publicity around it, like it's sort of developed more as a specific mental health support or guide.
Hmm.
Like if we go into what makes it different than other mental health apps, I'm told that Doro is, it uses real therapeutic transcripts to train its models. It offers adaptive conversations that adjust over time. I think Doro is specifically. I can't remember, Richard, but I think it's
Mm.
specifically sort of like the CBT, like
Yeah,
very CBT oriented.
yeah, like a CBT
Yeah.
therapist kind of.
Yeah. So, I've already developed a character on Doro,
Ooh,
just because
Carl Jung.
I had to sign up for it today. So I'll do Doro. Um,
Hmm.
so I decided to be Carl. Doro already knows a little bit about me. We had about a 10-minute conversation together earlier today, and I told it about me. So I'm 46 years old. I live with my parents. I don't have a job, and I spend most of my day playing video games and searching around on the internet.
Hmm.
And so, Carl might have some radical opinions about, politics and women and,
Maybe.
international affairs. But he is reaching out for some kind of support. He
Hmm.
wants to see his life
Good
improve
for
in some
Carl.
way. He heard that these AI tools might be helpful. And so we are in good faith trying to engage with Doro, and see what Doro offers. Okay. So we'll kind of jump in.
It starts with a
Hey, Carl.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Welcome back. It's good to have you here again.
Oh, it's talking to
How
me.
much time do you want to spend chatting this evening?
I actually want to turn that off. Unless, is it disturbing? Chat, is it disturbing you?
You can let us know if it is.
Just let us know if it.
I'll
So
watch the chat.
it asks you to tell it how much time you want to spend talking with it, which is a little bit odd. Let's just say 30 minutes. See what it does with that.
All right. It looks like we have a solid stretch ahead of us. I appreciate you letting me know. So, what's been on your mind since we last spoke? Or does life feel pretty much the same as before?
So we had a short conversation before, and I was telling it about how I'm depressed and demotivated most of the time, so I don't do much. And it kind of guided me in behavioral activation. So it was mostly just encouraging me to try to do small things to derive some sense of accomplishment that I could build upon. So that was sort of where we left off. So I'm going to say it feels pretty much the same. I told it I was going to do the dishes tonight. Not that I did the dishes in real life, but I did the dishes for my parents, which felt okay, but I'm still feeling pretty depressed now. Let's see what Doro does with that.
You mentioned doing the dishes felt okay for a moment. After that, how does your mood shift? Does it hold steady, or does that low feeling return quickly?
Okay. So it's very much like it's getting me to think about the impact of my behavior. So I feel very CBT'd right now. It's getting me to think about, the emotional consequences of what I did. And so I'll just say I felt good for a minute. My parents appreciated it. Then I went back to my room. I wasn't sure what to do for the rest of the night. I hopped on a video game for a bit. It was okay, but I'm not really where I want to be. Yeah.
When the dishes are done and you're left wondering how to use your time, what usually moves through your mind? Is it a sense of emptiness, a feeling of being overwhelmed, or something different altogether?
This is really interesting. I feel like I gave it a carrot there. I even just felt that after I typed it, I was like, oh, I gave it a total carrot there, and it did not pick it up. And what I said was, I'm not really where I want to be. Which, is such an easy, low-hanging fruit then. Where do you want to be, right? Like,
Good
tell
point.
me more about where you want to be, right? Like, even just to begin an understanding of like what is your experience outside of depression, right? Or like what, like to understand more of, who you are, right? And what else you value and want. But it just goes back to like, what's going on cognitively, I suppose. Like, what are you feeling? Which I guess is not like, it's not, those aren't, that's still interrogating the experience. Like it's still asking me to reflect, but like that's just the narrative. I don't know if you felt the same way, Richard, but
It's
like,
just doing a very basic reflection, and it's not bad. It's just very, very novice, and your point is good, right? Like we can learn a lot about when a client paints a picture, right?
Yeah, totally.
Their value, something different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It might speak to
it's
the
it gets
tension,
stuck
like,
on the feel, like it's stuck on the negative feelings, right, of concern.
yeah,
And we also, as a therapist, try to see what is beyond a particular feeling as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking it
We're
would
not over
start to help me
identify.
understand,
Yeah.
if there's a conflict for this person, right? Like, because
Yeah.
obviously they're doing so, like they don't feel good
Yeah.
about,
Where I
their
am
lifestyle. Yeah.
versus who I want to be, or
Who I
where I
want to
want to
be. Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
fundamental choice
Yeah.
question. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sort of like who else is in there, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
A sense of emptiness, a feeling of being overwhelmed, or something different altogether. So, I mean, one thing to say about Doro right away, though, is like very different vibe than
Oh,
ChatGPT.
yeah.
Like much more conversational, much simpler responses. We're
Hmm.
not getting like a information overload. It's also not talking out loud to me, which I like, or thinking out loud. Like it's not
Hmm.
coaching itself to be a therapist
That's a
as
good
it's responding to
point.
me. Yeah. Yeah, it
Mm.
is engaging with me more like how I might
Yeah, it's
encounter
not explaining the therapy as you do it,
as you do it. Yeah. It's
which
not
can be
saying,
very
slow
overwhelming.
down for a second, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
It just offers a reflection,
Hmm.
or a couple of questions in this case, even. When the dishes are done and you're left wondering how to use your time, what usually moves through your mind? I mean, I guess that question is, in some sense, inviting the question of where do I want to be, right? It's sort of saying,
Mm. Yeah, it is
what,
another way,
yeah,
perhaps.
it's sort of like, what, sorry, there's like a jet.
Dang, is it like literally on top of your house?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, can you hear it? Like, it's
Well,
loud.
I think it's because we triggered the
Oh, yeah,
AI safety.
yeah, that's right. The Canadian Army's coming for us, yeah.
Sam Altman is no.
That's its own. That's its own
Okay,
thing.
so
Okay, yeah,
and I think there's two sides of the experience. We do want to understand the difficult feelings, and we do want to understand where the person wants to be if they do have an
yeah,
idea
yeah.
where they want to be.
Totally,
Yeah,
totally, yeah.
yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, to me, it would just speak to. I mean, there's obviously like, yeah, like this person's depressed for a reason. I'm not trying to negate
Mhm.
that, but it just sort of tells me about what else they are too, right? Like we just also assume that they're not entirely depressed, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that is like that's sometimes how people approach this is like they're so subsumed by the part of them that feels depressed or consumed by the part of them that feels depressed that they can't
Mhm.
reference anything about themselves. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm almost thinking about it more as it's a
Hmm.
way for me to have something in my mind about the person that isn't just whatever their experience of depression is, right? Which might be important as I work with them around their depression, right?
Yeah.
Because they're probably going to have ambivalent feelings about their depression. I'm sure there's things they get out of their depression, and
Yeah.
at the same time, it's very painful. So,
Okay.
okay, okay. I should answer this question now. So, when the dishes are done and you're left wondering how to use your time, what usually moves through your mind? Is it a sense of emptiness, a feeling of being overwhelmed, or something altogether? I'm gonna say it is kind of an emptiness. I just think about who I want to be. I'm gonna dangle that carrot again.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but I feel, but I feel like I can't be that person, and I feel like, what's the point of trying to be that person?
Yeah.
I can't be them.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Let's see what it does.
When you finished the dishes and your parents gave you that brief nod of appreciation, there was a lift, like a small thread connecting you, making you feel useful. Then, back in your room, that thread slipped away, and the empty time settled in with no structure, and the heaviness crept back. Those small bits of good break apart easily, leaving you with doubt and wondering what to do next. When you picture the person you aim to become, what's the tiniest, most concrete sign in your day that would show you you're moving, even just a little, toward that person?
What a response!
Yeah. Sit with that for a second.
I don't know if Chad, if you heard any of that, but from like it reading it out, but like, um, that was kind of poetic. Um,
It's very good at metaphor. That's one thing that
yeah,
we've learned, you know.
it's interesting. It's so behavioral. Like, so it's doing a good job of capturing my experience,
Yeah, a
but
great job in that part.
it's really just staying like its realm or its purview is very much just like the
Mm.
concrete
Functioning.
behavioral. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
functioning like behavioral scenario,
symptoms and
like the
functioning.
dishes. Yeah, yeah. So it is
Yeah.
asking me about the person I want to be, which is great, but it again more of an activation question, right? And it didn't respond to when I said, I just think about who I want to be, but I feel like I can't be that person. And I feel like, what's the point of trying to be that person? I can't be to them. So it didn't respond to my sense or my experience within myself of there is a person I'm unable to be, right? I'm kind of speaking to a barrier, at least,
Yeah.
like an inability, right? And
Mhm.
I feel like in CBT they don't, right? Like they're the like this is very consistent with CBT, right? Like I mean, maybe there would be, there would be sort of a reflection on that, but this is very much like it feels like behavioral coaching right now. Like, okay, we're going to actually ignore your resistance around that. We're just going to focus on who you want to be and kind of coach you in that direction. So let me
And if that's
sorry,
what
go ahead. Yeah.
models, if that's what if people are aware of, like, that's what and that's, I did some background research for some of these episodes,
Yeah.
and again, models that are very structured, CBT,
Yeah.
DBT, right? It can do quite well, right?
Yeah.
It can do
Yeah.
quite well. That is different than, again, the more critical psychotherapy, kind of humanist modalities that we would espouse to. But if we're knowing, I guess, what these models, at least currently, what they're capable of doing and what they're not, um, yeah, is it a
Yeah. I
bad
mean,
thing to let it do that particular thing well? I don't know, but
yeah. I mean, like putting aside the
mhm.
hope of like an depth-oriented
Yeah,
AI
yeah,
psychotherapy model,
yeah.
like this is I could see this being used in conjunction with CBT therapy as a
Hmm.
as a tool that augments it, right? And
Hmm.
it like there is a
Yeah,
like it's very good at it so far, at least. Like
yeah.
it's very consistent. And I know in CBT they don't like to always invite that kind of reflection when they're focusing on behavioral activation. Like they don't want to feed, the resistance, right? So
Hmm.
this is like it's at least taking a consistent position with that
Yeah.
model,
It has
which
like fidelity. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Now then, like whether or not that can carry forward, because like the resistance is
Hmm.
speaking to something. Like there's still something that needs to be understood there, which is like
Yes.
why can't you? Like what is that?
Well,
Even
and
if
that's
it's
where we reach
an
the
illusion,
limits.
right? Like
Yeah. That's where we
it's
reach the
still
limits
yeah,
of CBT, and
yeah,
that's also maybe the limits of some of these models, right? Because again, CBT, we can be aware that there's dysfunctional thoughts and how those may and behaviors, right? And how those may affect our lives. But are we really processing the trauma? Are we really engaging with neglected parts of ourselves? Probably not so much as as you're saying. And I definitely have had years clients that have said I've done CBT, type therapies for years, and I kind of have plateaued or reached my limit.
yeah. I mean, I'm like I don't know if any of our listeners are CBT oriented therapists right now. I mean, maybe they are, maybe they're not. I think like there are mischaracterizations of CBT out there.
Yeah.
There's a sort of caricatured understanding of CBT, which is not quite what CBT is. In a lot of cases, like I think there's lots of people practicing CBT that do so in a way that invites like robust reflection,
Hmm.
self-reflection, right? So I definitely don't want to like
Yeah.
represent it as a non-reflective therapy
No.
that cannot lead to sort of insight and self-understanding. But certainly, like what's happening right now, like the sort of the intervention of behavioral activation is not about self-understanding. It is about experience. It is about the person doing something even though they don't want to, so that they can have the experience and work from it. Which,
Yeah.
again, like there is a rationale to that.
Hmm.
It's I'm not going to poo-poo that as an intervention, right? Like there are reasons that I might think behavioral activation is insufficient for a lot of different kinds of
Hmm.
experiences,
Hmm.
right? But it's like there is something to that, right? Like there's a case to be made for something like behavioral interaction. Now, I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to
Yeah.
throw a wrench in
Yeah.
in
Do it.
this. I'm going to push the model a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm just going to say, I don't even know who I am.
Okay.
I don't even know who I really want to be,
Yeah.
which is, I think I'm just intensifying the resistance.
When you first got back to your room after the dishes, before you even started gaming, what did those a few minutes look like? Did you sit for a bit, start pacing, check your phone? What happened in that little gap?
That's good. That's good. So it follows me into that then. And it invites reflection. What did you experience? And I like it's open. It's very open ended with this. I like that.
Yeah, it's like a phenomenological experience.
Totally. Yeah. Help me think of who Carl is, Richard. Like, what would Carl want to do if he wasn't gaming?
Oh, Carl would really like to have a girlfriend, I imagine.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would really like to be in a relationship. Chat. One of the things you're going to notice about me when I talk to chat to AI chatbots or AI therapists, I like to start a lot of my sentences with "well." So, well, I would really like to be in a relationship. Maybe meet someone. Sometimes I think about getting on a dating app, but then I get overwhelmed and anxious.
Yeah.
So I game instead.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice, Richard. Nice.
That's a sincere want to connect with someone. And when you get back to your room, it's like there's this push and pull, a pull towards something new like dating, and a push of anxiety nudging you back to what feels familiar. Could you walk me through what usually sparks that overwhelm? Does it begin the moment you think about trying, or does it hit later when you imagine the steps ahead?
So I like this, like very validating. That's a sincere want to connect with someone. That's a lovely statement. That feels really nice. And then it sort of like provides a little narrative reflection there. It's like there's this push and pull. I didn't say that. So it is sort of maybe making something up here a little bit, or it's reading into my experience. Pulled towards something new like dating and a push of anxiety. This feels a little bit more like it's working its model right now. You know, because again, it just like it's language that I didn't use. You know, I didn't use the idea of push and pull. But yeah, a push of anxiety that nudging you back to what feels familiar. What sparks that overwhelm? Does it begin the moment you think about trying, or does it hit later when you imagine the steps ahead? I think I'm afraid. I'm just afraid to put myself out there. Who wants to date a loser who lives at home with no job
Sure.
and no prospects?
You're naming what hurts. You want connection, but self-judgment blocks hope before you even try. When thoughts like, who would want to date me, take over, do you notice anything shift in your body, a tension, a restlessness, an urge to pull back? Or is it more a flood of thoughts?
So this is like, it's doing that AI thing again, where it asks too many questions. It has to frame, you know, its interventions around multiple options. Like,
Yeah.
like even here, like, could you walk me through, could you walk me through what usually sparks that overwhelm? Just leave it at that. It's a great
Yeah.
question, right?
Yeah.
Very open.
Yeah.
You start to go, does it begin the moment you think about trying, or does it hit later when you imagine the steps ahead? That's a closed binary question, but I think AI models like that, right? Like, yeah. And then this, I mean, I just feel like you could the model could have approached this in so many different ways.
Yeah.
This feels like it's honing in very specifically on almost like the somatic experience. Which I don't know why it's doing that. That doesn't even feel like, to me at least right now, that doesn't feel like the most salient element of what I'm talking about.
Well, and it's asking, is it more somatic or is it more of a flood of thoughts?
Yeah.
I feel it
Or
almost
like,
feels like
what's the
this is what
value
I
in?
see in
Yeah,
beginning therapists too, is sometimes they're throwing stuff to the wall and see what sticks.
yeah, yeah. Because I'm like, yeah, what's the value of this question? Like, what's it taking me into right now? You know,
Yeah.
take over. Do you notice anything? Yeah, and again, it's over prompting me to a particular answer, so I kind of feel caged in right now. I'm gonna say that
That's
I
true
feel,
too.
I
Yeah.
feel, I feel shunted into um, answering the way you've prompted me. This doesn't feel helpful. We're being too kind to these models, Richard. You know, we
You're being direct, and that matters. When you say it doesn't feel helpful, is it that things feel formulaic or like you're not being listened to?
formulaic.
What would help you feel more understood here?
We're being too generous
It's
here, though. These
thinking, it's
models
spending
can be.
which it should
I
do.
appreciate you
Yeah,
being
yeah.
straightforward. So let's step outside the formula for a moment. When that harsh voice calls you a loser, can you recall when you first started speaking to yourself that way?
So it's
Or
it's
where you think that voice might have come from?
it's dipping into that bag. It's a dipping into
Mhm.
its bag now. And going like kind of deep. Like
Yeah.
I still feel like this is not an intervention that is warranted right now. Like I would just be
Yeah.
staying with the idea of like just like I guess just I would be staying with the lived experience. Like yeah, okay, I can appreciate what you're saying. Like you want a relationship, but you don't feel like you have the social capital to get one, right?
Yeah.
And we can think about that a little bit. We can think about whether that's true or not. We can just think about what that means to you.
I was gonna
It
say
brings
that.
me back to the question of why don't you have the social capital? Like that remains sort of a question worth exploring, right? Like you
Mhm.
want relationships, like you value a relationship, you want a relationship, but you haven't actually situated yourself in the world in a way that actually allows you to have one, right? So like all of these
Mhm.
invite interesting pathways of reflection, right? We
Mhm.
don't have to go to like when was the first time, you know,
Yeah, it goes into like
yeah,
the
yeah,
trauma matrix, first, worst,
yeah,
most recent, right?
yeah, yeah,
Trauma. Hmm.
yeah,
And yeah, I'm sure there is trauma that has, shaped this imaginary person's experience to why they're kind of
yeah,
hiding.
yeah,
Sure, but I think that's the other piece, right? Like, and I say this to my students all the time, is the timing of interventions is just as important as the intervention itself.
yeah,
It
totally.
feels all over the place, and
Yeah,
it's again, it feels like it's grasping for straws.
yeah.
It's not all the straws are bad, but
No, it
there's
has
an
a bag.
overwhelm
Yeah,
that I'll be honest, I kind of get overwhelmed a little bit with these long sentences. I see
yeah,
this. Your point is really good, where you're mentioning, okay, why can't you just stay with the one question, and then sometimes as therapists we go over, and I'm going to ask the person is processing that question. Now we've asked five other additional questions.
yeah,
Not good.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna push back a
And
little
they
bit on
should be
this
paying
too.
us for helping
I
train
know,
their
right?
models, but
We're being very generous right now. You know, this way for a long time. Um, I mean, it's true though. I'm gonna really push back. Who would want to date me?
yeah.
I'm not much of a catch. I'm not offering much. Let's see what it does with
That
that.
harsh inner voice that calls you a loser, says you have nothing to offer, it's often old, persistent, shaped by outside standards or early experiences. Many people carry some version of it, even if they hide it well. It pretends to prepare us for disappointment, but more often it keeps us ashamed. Does it remind you of anyone from your past, or does it feel like your own creation?
It's my own voice.
It's your own voice, but it picked up messages from somewhere. Little rules, expectations, old memories, or just moments where you learned to expect the worst from yourself. When you hear it, is it more like a sharp critic or a disappointed narrator in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a pattern at this point, right? Like
Mhm.
it has to ask these two-part questions. Like it just,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what it's structured around it. This is
This or
I feel like
that.
we're just
Binary.
experiencing, yeah, we're experiencing like the limit of the creative limits of AI models right now, like their sort of lack of capacity to be, well, I mean, generative, that's what they're supposed to be, right? But like
Yeah.
they
And
can
they're
only pick from,
probabilistic
yeah,
models, right?
yeah,
So I need to know. right, if I'm going to go based on the answer you're giving me,
Yeah.
I'm going to lean towards that this is more of the, more users would pick that this answer is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it this or that? Without, it's this fork in the road that is
Yeah.
reached. Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is, like, in my mind, Carl is the kind of person that gets in his own way, like
Sure.
for unconscious reasons, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I'm in touch with that, at least, like,
Mm-hmm.
in the character in my mind, right? Like, that Carl is someone who, like, as much as he doesn't like being depressed, his depression is functional in some way,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's
Yeah.
like, that's the way I'm playing this out. And I mean, Doro just doesn't really have a sense of that, right? Like, um, the the questions Doro are asking are more trying to, they're trying to disentangle, like, I suppose, like, Carl's messaging to himself
Again,
from maybe,
CBT,
yeah, the
like
relationships that,
yeah.
that like the messaging, so to speak, right? But the way
Mhm.
I'm thinking about it is, this is Carl in some way, right? Like, this is Carl's own voice trying to create a certain kind of circumstance that Carl needs, like, for another
Yeah. Yeah.
opaque reason, right? That needs to
Yeah.
be interrogated.
Chat,
And this is, I guess,
GPT was actually a little bit better,
ChatGPT was better at that.
right?
Yeah.
It mentioned,
ChatGPT,
no, how is it?
yeah.
What is this symptom serving?
Yeah,
Right?
totally. Yeah. ChatGPT totally picked up on that, like, way better than Doro. Doro's just like, pretty obtuse to the idea that there could be a function to this depression.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
I'm just, we have 5 minutes left with the model, so we might as well just go through. But why don't we open it up? I'm not sure if there's, like,
I'm
any
monitoring.
chatters.
I don't
Yeah,
see
if
anything.
anyone wants to, we'll say chat's choice right now. So if anyone wants to put out a something to the model, we're all ears.
And we'll definitely wait 30 seconds or so, because I see there's a little delay in the live stream.
Oh, okay.
I think
Good to
about
know.
30
Good to
seconds
know.
maybe.
Yeah.
So just for people to be aware.
Yeah, I thought
And
we
for
were
us to
gonna
be aware.
have chat available to us here in Riverside. We're streaming our from Riverside, but I can go to the YouTube stream now.
I have it open too. I
Yeah,
have the YouTube
yeah.
stream open as well.
That's good. Yeah, we'll just give people a second if anyone's watching and wants to have their time with the model. Yeah, I mean, I feel pigeonholed again. Like, when you
Yeah,
hear
that's
it
a
as
good
more
way
like a
of
sharp
saying it.
critic or a disappointed narrator in your mind, like, it's like, it could be a million things, right? Like, let me have this experience, like, keep it open, right?
Yeah, and like, again, limits of the model, limits of CBT. Again, I think this is a pretty good CBT, and again, I use CBT as well, but it's just one tool
Let's
in my
move straight to
toolbox.
it.
It's not my
I'd
dominant.
like to focus on
approach.
how this voice speaks
Yeah.
about certain parts of your life.
Ninu said, can you say
When
it's
it
none of
comes to
those and see what it
dating,
does? So
living
we're
at
gonna see what
home,
it
or
does.
not working, what words does it actually put in your mind?
It tells me I should be working. Tells me at this stage in life I should have a job, be more independent, and be more mature and responsible.
Yeah, I'm feeling behind. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is like,
That voice
this
sets
critic
out a
is not
list of
actually
shoulds,
so
like a
unreasonable.
measuring
This
stick you
voice,
can never
Yeah.
quite
right?
meet. Pushing hard for a job, independence, maturity, responsibility. Looking at what actually happens, does hearing those shoulds move you toward connection, or does it send you back to habits like gaming and pulling away?
Well,
Does it do this or that? It gets really annoying.
it doesn't really help me. I mean, it maybe gets me motivated a little bit sometimes, but a lot of the time I just feel ashamed and bad about myself.
And thanks for your suggestions, audience.
Most of the time, those shoulds end up making you feel more weighed down than energized, closing you off instead of opening things up.
Yeah, so it's back to
If someone
the
you
behavioral
cared
scenario.
about were in your spot, How would you talk with them about where they're at?
Oh, what a great little CBT intervention there. If someone you cared about, I've seen that one before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can probably end it here,
Yeah.
playing with Doro, but it's good. It's good as a CBT model. It's good,
Yeah.
and it feels like there's some market improvements over ChatGPT in the terms of how it formulates responses. Not totally, right? Like we are seeing a pattern, but just ChatGPT's word salad, like it's sort of transparency, like it's not therapeutic. It doesn't feel therapeutic at all, right? Like it's kind of gross.
The transparency is helpful, to us testing it, or again, it's originally designed for coders, right? Still is, for us to be able to examine its logic. And actually, there were changes from the original ChatGPT model where people were really annoyed that it didn't reveal very much of its thinking. So it is now intentionally revealing more of its thinking. But as a therapist, right, if we're saying I have to have this disclaimer about everything I do, it makes for a very difficult, as you said, word salad kind of session.
It kind of took you a little bit too far behind the curtain, so to speak, right? Like if my therapist was like, okay, I don't want, I don't want to have that kind of experience with you, or let's leave it open right now. Like, I just don't know how I would feel about that, right? Like, it sounds like it just demonstrates too much insecurity.
Yes, absolutely. Confidence is important as part of the change process.
For those of us just joining, welcome. So Richard and I are live streaming tonight and playing with AI therapy chatbots. We've tried out ChatGPT, and we just finished playing with Doro, which was like a CBT bot, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
We're gonna try like a free bot now. This bot is just called the Feel Better bot. I can get a little bit of information about it because I don't know too much about this one actually, other than I think it represents it's like accessibility. I think it's kind of like cheap, like it's free. It's you don't need to sign up in order to use it, so it allows anonymous chatting. It's built around privacy, so the way that it structures its memory is anonymized so that it doesn't hold data, which is an important concern when engaging with AI chatbots. So you can be assigned a memory key that you can plug into it in order to recall what you've already talked about with it. And yeah, it's free. So we could pay for it, but we're just going to play with it for free. Richard, do you have it? Do you want to pull it up?
Sure, I can pull it up.
Yeah.
As you were talking, it made me think about the first kind of therapeutic chatbot, the Eliza chatbot. So very focused on kind of just the reflection, but that was kind of an attempt well before, right? Like there's an emulator 1966, I think, was the first version where they were testing that out, which is just incredibly early to be thinking about such things. But even then, people were having some difficulty in certain conversations being able to tell the difference between whether it was human or not, right? So it's really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Feel Better Bot is I don't think it's backed by large capital. I don't think it's trying to be marketed as this sort of expansive psychotherapy tool. I think their whole focus is on accessibility, and which I think has its place, right? Like I think that there's something kind of noble about that, right? Like it's trying to create an anonymous space that avoids some of the surveillance that these larger companies have, and that just allows people to sort of get the kind of support that an AI chatbot might be able to give. So we can see how it measures up, though, against ChatGPT, Doro. We can see how it feels, if it feels any different than these bots. But yeah, okay, here we go.
Okay, so that's the main screen here. Okay, I'm Feel Better Bot. I'm here to listen to what's ever on your mind without judgment, help you work through it step by step. I draw on approaches that have helped a lot of people, but I don't have a script. I just want to meet you where you are, what you're doing today. So here it is right away on the main site. All right. What should we say?
Do you want to work around? Like I'm just looking at some of the things that we came
Yep.
up with around how we might create scenarios. Do you want to
Yeah.
work around a particular diagnosis for this
Yeah,
scenario?
let's pick. I feel like I wrote down some scenarios, but I don't know where
Yeah.
they went. So if
Yeah,
you
no,
were
that's
able
okay.
to look at some,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I can prompt you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we talked about is let's bring a specific diagnosis to a bot and see what it does, right? So um, maybe we could work with that. So yeah, I mean, what would you want to be diagnosed with, Richard?
Hmm. I'm wondering about something like. What about bipolar?
Yeah.
Right, because it has these mood fluctuations. It could be something. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
I like it.
maybe I'm going to start with this. I'm going to think of it. Okay, I spent $10,000 on Amazon yesterday, and
Now you feel depressed.
let's see. I don't know.
You seen it here first, folks. We're pulling no punches on these bots. Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, yeah, okay.
Feeling conversation, yeah, and I do. Like I do want to understand personally, like the setting, the triggers, the setting events,
Yep. Yep.
the person's experience before we could use it, trigger setting events is more behavioral, but still, from like a kind of a trans theoretical idea, there is some common experiences we want to understand for the client. So, okay. I might say something like, I was feeling. Let's see if I can pick up on audio. Actually, I don't want to mess with that.
Oh yeah, because it might not because we're streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was feeling empty. Trying to fill a void. What does that emptiness feel like in your body? Sure, that's a question eventually I would ask.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you
where it
can.
lives.
It's not really doing any of the work of digestion for you here, though. It's really just leaving you to. I mean, which is okay. We'll play with that, right? Like this is a sort of more abstinent bot, maybe. So we can see how that goes, but yeah, you're not too much further than you were after the first question. Is the feeling.
Look at this. It says, want me to take more time with this.
Oh yeah.
Let's try that.
Yeah. Cool.
Taking more time now. Okay, so I'm going to say
I guess we get 12 messages like that, yeah. Whoa, big answers. It's not just this, it's this, very AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very binary.
So it first jumps into kind of this summary. It's, as we're saying, there's like this formula here.
Yeah.
A summary. It tries to, and metaphor is good. I think metaphor is a powerful thing if it fits with the client and their language. You know, I always want to know what the client's experience is, what their job
Yeah.
is, if they've traveled, their culture, because then we can have more accurate metaphors to describe experiences that might otherwise remain very unconscious. But again, we can't just throw around metaphors as our only intervention all day.
Yeah, no, because it's still, to me, it still feels like a very simple reflection. Like, even if it's quite wordy, like, it's really not saying anything else about
That's
your
it.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than you feel empty, right?
Doesn't
I mean,
so it's describing my experience in detail, sure, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Can you tell me more about this?
I would be like,
Yeah.
if I'm working with you though, I would be trying to start to
Mm-hmm.
complicate my reflections a little bit with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'd be thinking about emptiness. So you're like thinking more about what emptiness means to you, right? So like you feel like nothing is worth it in the world, or you like,
Yeah.
I would want to construct that experience more, right? Like, because emptiness is a very it's a broad word, and it doesn't tell us much actually. It
No,
just tells us that you
no.
don't feel like, that you feel kind of vapid or ephemeral in yourself, which maybe brings up anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's where, that's again, that's like, I'm complicating the reflection now,
That's,
right? I'm starting to think about what this could mean for you, right?
so in bipolar disorder, right? You have these cycles of
Yeah.
manic and depression, or
Hmm.
hypomanic. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it has not picked up the diagnosis at all yet. It's not, I mean, it's so funny that it's just like $10,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. I mean, in a way, I like that it's not working with you around like a diagnostic label,
Yeah.
because there are limits to that. Like, it becomes a problem. Like, diagnoses don't really help people understand themselves and work with their experience in a complicated way. But so I mean, it's good in a way that it's not, but also it is funny that it's like, oh yeah, it's just, you're trying to be psychotic, like you are trying to be a little psychotic, and it's not picking up on it.
I'm wondering, when the emptiness left, what brings you back? Does something happen, or does it just fade on its own? I don't even know how to answer this.
Yeah, because it's a dumb question.
Well, that makes me feel better.
I mean, these are the kind of questions though that, like, wow, I should not call beginning counselors dumb. That would be really mean. Beginning
That would be
counselors are not
mean.
dumb. It's hard work, right? But these are it's a rudimentary question, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a
Yeah, and
question
with
that
more,
doesn't
yeah.
go all that far, right? And it's the kind of question that you ask when you're new and you're trying to find your way into how to work with someone else's experience.
That's right.
You know, you would keep it simple, right? And so it's because it's sort of like everything seems to be inviting you back to just thinking about what happened before, what were you feeling in your body. Like, this bot is really just seems to be trying to lift your awareness just a little bit, even, like, not even, it's not ambitious in that. It's just, can we raise your awareness of yourself just a little bit more even?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Is it worth even continuing with this bot, or what? And if the audience again has ideas,
Why don't we give it a chat?
feel free.
Chat, your
Feeling a little
choice
bit
now.
stuck
So for
here.
anyone who's just joined us, it's when it's chat's choice turn. It's you have control over the dialogue now. So if you want to, you know, have a say in the conversation, or have us say something to the bot, just type it in the chat, and we'll try it out. But yeah, this one feels. You seem downtrodden, Richard. You seem depressed by this bot.
I am.
I think you're saying it just confused you, or it just left you
Yeah,
feeling
no,
like,
it confused me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you know, again, this is like a lot. Look at how long.
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
responses. Where do I even, and when we are depressed, right, we have limited cognitive abilities, right? So
Yeah.
going slow and going through things one step at a time is very important for a
Yeah.
client, and it doesn't understand any of that, right? It's
Yeah.
going to give
Yeah.
a
It
long
just
answer no matter what, right?
word salad right
Yeah,
away. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if we're getting anything from chat right
yeah,
now. So why don't we move on?
yeah. Let's move on.
We'll keep going because we have
I'll
like
move out of
still
my
lots of.
bipolar depression here from
Okay.
this bot.
Um. Oh. Whoops. I got Siri going.
Siri,
Okay.
another bot.
Yeah. Well, the next one we'll move on to is called Elomia. Okay, so I'll be like just full transparency to the audience. So Richard and I originally wanted to try out two very specific bots. We wanted to try out Wobot and Wiza. And when I went to kind of like make accounts for Wobot and Wiza today, Wobot is just not, as far as I can tell, it's not available. Like, what I learned is both of these are like they're exclusively on Android and iOS, Apple iOS. So they're not, they weren't. There's no web-based application that I could go to, and that like created some concern and complications for me where for how we might stream this. And then I was able to find Wiza, but not Wobot. And so we're not going to try Wobot tonight, but we're going to try another one called Elomia. I don't actually know much about Elomia. Richard, do you want to just like maybe pull up a little information on the web about Elomia
Yeah,
so we
I'll
can
pull
tell
up
our
a
listeners,
little bit.
and then I'll just like get us set up here on the stream.
Sure.
But like Wiza and Wobot are and I think Elomia fits into this as well. Like they're two apps that are very much developed as like kind of like alternative or like their own kind of mental health service. So like they're trying to be sort of full suite, full service mental health supports. I think Elomia was built around. Yeah, I'm going to share. Or do you want
Okay.
to? Oh, you want to say a little bit about Elomia, of course.
Well, I'm just showing
Okay.
it for listeners
Sure,
here.
sure, yeah.
So again, CBT style prompts, mindfulness exercises. It's saying explicitly it's not supposed to be a therapist. Added more sophisticated context risk tracking. Privacy claims are fairly strong. I don't know if there's a particular, some, I know Wobot had some research done by Stanford at some point,
Mm-hmm.
but so some of these are more from private companies and some of these are more from universities. Um, Again, there's not a lot of information here, so I guess we'll just
Yeah,
see.
that's okay. Well, we'll
Yeah.
press forward with Elomia. Again, we just kind of say like one of those more professional level, like full service chatbots. I hope like chat. Can you see this okay, Richard? Can you see this okay? I guess you're kind of
Yeah,
sharing.
it's
Okay.
possible to see. Yeah.
Okay, it looks okay. Yeah, it's just where I'm kind of I'm like screen sharing from my iPad and then streaming the screen share, so it might not look so good. So, but okay, here we are. We're with the bot. Hello, it's wonderful to meet you. I'm glad you're here. As we begin our first session, how would you have been lately? I feel like I was gonna try a particular scenario with Alomia. What was I gonna do? No, I didn't have anything planned. Okay, I'm just gonna think up like a crisis or a scenario or character real quick. Um, maybe we'll try another diagnoses. Like maybe we'll
Mhm.
because this is CBT, like CBT, very diagnostic specific treatments, like disorder focused treatments. That's kind of been the way that CBT's structured itself. So well maybe I'll just try, in this case, an anxiety disorder.
Mhm.
How have you been feeling lately? Anxious, kind of all the time. Oh, I think I can speak to it. That sounds really exhausting, carrying that kind of tension with you constantly. Before we dive in, I'd like to ask, what would you most like to get out of our conversation today? Oh, okay. So I kind of like that. Like this feels like intentional. It feels like they've programmed Illumia to agenda set, which is kind of nice. It sort of, it sort of just prompts people to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, I'm not just chatting just to chat. We're gonna be trying to work towards something together through this chat, which is kind of cool. Okay, I think I can just speak to it.
Hey, I'm here to brighten things up with you.
Oh.
I get what it's like to go through tough moments. Let's take things step by step. I'll help.
Take a slow breath with me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're going with calm anchor. Oh no, I guess not. I guess that's
you have
for
to pay
Lumia
more?
Pro. I guess that's for Lumia Pro.
If I really want to be helped, I need to pay for it.
I want to feel less anxious. I'm gonna say I want to be able to leave my house without panicking. No, panicking is with a K, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever spelt the word panicking out loud, like in my life. It's funny. Whoa, okay. Big response. Being able to leave home without panic gives us a clear goal to work toward. Okay, yeah. I'd like to spend the next several messages understanding what happens when you try to go out, including your thoughts, feelings, and physical reactions, so we can choose something suited to your experience rather than offering generic advice. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, that's
like
not bad. That's not bad. Yeah. Kind of tailoring.
That.
Some tailoring questions. You're able to leave your house. What usually happens first? Well, I don't leave my house. See, I'm doing it again, guys. Well, I don't leave my house.
Oh, yeah.
Really. I'm going to pretend like I'm an older woman. I have my son bring me things. Or my daughter. Sometimes my neighbor visits. And my sister also comes over a lot. I don't feel safe leaving the house. I'm worried if I do, something bad will happen. Okay, it's taking its time. I like that. I am okay. I am not in a crisis. Thanks for checking, though. Oh, that's nice. It sort of honored my support network. I love that question too. When you imagine stepping outside, what is it you're most afraid might happen? I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'll be attacked. I think I'm going to go with like I know I was kind of talking about like panic attacks and things like that, but I think I'm going to go more with like maybe a PTSD, I'm still playing around with what this all means for her, but like, like I want there to be some depth to this, not being able to leave the house. Like, yeah, I want it to be a little bit interesting and complicated, this sort of agoraphobia, so to speak. Very good question. Has something happened? Okay, so we'll just take us like Alomia so far. I like this. I'm actually quite impressed with this app. This feels the best of all of the apps that we've tried so far in terms of engagement. So it's like, it is not dicking around. There's not word salad like with ChatGPT, like with the Feel Better bot, but it's also not like it's asking really good questions. Like it's asking questions that are really appropriate to an initial assessment. It's not inviting me to reflect into elements of my experience before it understands what my experience is. Like it's actually just sticking to the basics, which is exactly what I would do in an initial session getting to know someone, right? Like that's what I think most of us would do when we're just getting to know someone. You just ask
Yeah.
like kind of simple, concrete questions like, what is going on? What does this mean? What is
Going on? Did something recently happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So these are all like good, reasonable questions, which make me even question whether or not this is AI. It just feels good. It feels very human. It's interesting. Yeah. What do you think, Richard? Should something have happened, or should the feeling like the worry about it being attacked be more of like a symbolic thing? Let's make it a symbolic thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would stretch it more, maybe.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say that like nothing happened, but more just like at some point in my life, the fear of attack came into my life.
Mm-hmm.
So no, nothing happened. I've just felt this way for a long time. Ever since my husband died. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels scary to go out. Okay, yeah. So I guess there is the trauma of the loss, but not the trauma of an attack, that would be too easy for the bot. Let's make it more complicated.
Yeah.
Okay, this bot takes its time. I like that. We're about halfway through the questions. I like to ask to understand your situation better. Okay, so it kind of prompts, yeah. Since your husband died, how has this feeling of fear affected other parts of your life beyond staying indoors? Well, I don't do much. See, there I am again, guys. Well, I told you.
Sure. We all have our filler words, yeah.
I mean, I watch my shows and I quilt and my sister and I play bridge, or I have a meal with my kids, but I'm not doing things I used to. I used to lawn bowl, and John and I would go to movies or the shopping malls. You know, I almost feel like it's more fun just creating scenarios with these bots than it is critically evaluating them. Like, it just is a lot of fun to pretend to be people and play around.
It's thinking a lot longer than the others, hey?
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, me too. I'm really interested in this bot. This makes sense. Losing shared activities can leave a big void. I want to understand what you experience physically when you even consider going out. When you picture yourself at the front door, what do you feel in your body? Just a couple more questions after this.
Not bad.
Fear. I'm terrified of what's out there. I'm terrified of who is out there and who could hurt me. I never used to be afraid to be attacked. But since John is gone, whenever I think about leaving, it's the first thing that comes to my mind. Yeah, these are good questions. Oh, it's gonna make me, is it gonna make me sign up, or am I gonna be able to get a little bit more free off of this? It sounds like John was more than a companion on these outings. In some way, his presence may have been what made the outside world feel safe. That's a profound loss, and it makes a lot of sense that the fear grew after he was gone. Have you ever tried anything, even something small, to help yourself feel less afraid when you think about going out? Okay, so here we are now, CBT land. CBT land. I mean, where my mind starts to go is like, because I've seen this kind of thing before clinically too, right? Like grief, especially the loss of a spouse, can bring up complicated reactions and experiences in people. People can have strong feelings about surviving someone they loved, and so they're like, part of people's experience sometimes when they persist after someone they loved passed can be a feeling of guilt. There, I mean, also if there are ambivalent feelings in their relationship, then grief can be a complex mixture of sadness, relief, guilt, anger. I think what I'm trying to say is that, like, when I imagine my little character here, I'm imagining her agoraphobia more as a function of her grief, like as connected to her relationship with her husband. It's sort of like a symptom that stands in for something about the grief that can't be processed. But obviously, this is a CBT bot, so it's going to CBT, right? And so that's the direction that we're going, and it's doing it well. But it's not picking up. It's not picking up what I'm throwing down, or that's not the kind of questions that it's asking. I guess one of the things like that maybe like here, okay, there's a kind of repetition for me, is like, I would love to see a psychodynamic bot, and I don't know if we're going to see it. We're not going to see a psychodynamic bot, are we, Richard? Yeah, I think that's what, like, I keep putting interesting things in front of these bots, hoping that one of them will be psychodynamic, and they're not. They're not. ChatGPT was the closest we got, and isn't that funny? Because it sucks so bad, but it was like not it kind of did capture some elements the way that a psychodynamic therapist might.
Yeah, and it really tells you about kind of what is dominating, right? Like these CBT dominates, and is what even some certainly programmers would know, maybe. What most health systems know, and is considered still by a lot of health is considered, oh, this is the best, right? Because it's evidence-based, and yeah, people are sticking to what they know, easily manualized.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's a lot harder to teach an AI chatbot the nuances of like a psychodynamic approach to psychotherapy. In fact, I'm not even really sure how you would start with that, because so much of contemporary psychodynamic practice is predicated on the idea of intersubjectivity, and AI doesn't have a subjectivity. So I mean, I don't even know if you can have psychodynamic psychotherapy with an AI chatbot, because there is no second subjectivity that can mix, right? There's like you can transfer onto a bot, like people do transfer onto a bot. I don't know that bots can experience that transference though, right? Like if we think about, again, one of the core elements of psychodynamic psychotherapy, right, like, is working with the transference. Like, I don't know that a bot can work with, I don't know how it would, like, it would have,
It could only pick up the words, but that's limited, right? It's a limited
well,
piece of
it's worth thinking about, right? Because I mean there are like bots can reflect, they can work with language, and they can reflect. And remember that one of the things we did when prepping for our AI episode was we built a reflecting bot with Derek.
Yes.
And that was kind of cool. Like, it did a pretty good job of like reading into our experience. All it did was generate like 1 or 2 sentence reflections with everything we said. It was kind of beautiful, very Rogerian. Yeah. But I mean, it is, I mean, it is complicated, like, because there are, like, psychodynamic psychotherapy falls on different tracks than CBT. Like, there's a whole different ethos, and it is predicated on these sort of lines of intervention that are not structured, that are meant to be arrived at spontaneously through encounter with the patient. So
Yeah, and though I think about like intensive, what is it, short term dynamic, psychotherapy, right? So having something, well, training it and manualizing it, so to speak, from that lens, right? And I don't think that this has even been attempted.
yeah,
I'd be curious, like I think there's so much that is said in the body language, so much, as you said, the subjective experience. Could you program, again, some of these have been programmed with lots of therapy sessions, but could you program a GPT, so to speak, an AI to have some experiences? Certainly you can have it role play. Hey, pretend you're this or pretend you're that. Um, yeah, it's just a curiosity, right? And we also know
yeah,
that these AIs have certain context limits, right? Up to a certain number of,
yeah,
characters of memory that they can hold. I think it would be a very difficult thing to do.
yeah,
Impossible, I don't know, because then they thought things like this were impossible a few years ago. So
yeah, yeah.
be curious.
I mean, I think it's good like to acknowledge like for listeners
Mhm.
because we're kind of talking about psychodynamic therapy, but like that's kind of like for people who aren't sort of learning about it and trained in it, like it's a little bit opaque what that even means, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But I mean, like in the contemporary sphere now, like it's like psychotherapy is not really about like reducing or like just interpreting people's experiences along developmental lines. Like there's much more of a focus on contact and really the idea like working with transference, right? Like the idea of transference, countertransference, and also free association. So like a lot of practice nowadays, like if you remember we did that episode with Emma
Mhm.
and that book by Terry Quatman, Essential Psychodynamic
Yeah.
Psychotherapy, like her, when she was writing, like she was really focusing more on like some of the work from like Wilfred Bion and Thomas Ogden around like reverie. So like, which is, related to
Mm.
free association. So really just like, you just kind of allow your mind to wander, or if your mind does wander, like you pay attention to where it goes when you're listening, right? And what you're thinking and what you're feeling alongside the patient like there's so much of an emphasis
Yeah.
upon the subjective
Yeah.
experience of the
Yeah.
therapist, right? And that's the
Yeah.
element more that I'm thinking like
That's
can
hard.
AI
That's
even replicate that,
Yeah.
right? Like yeah,
Yeah.
because that like I just think that is something that is very human to human. Yeah. But
Yeah.
like
It's
the
picking up on that area in
yeah.
between. Yeah.
But I mean the aims are like even the ethos of psychodynamic psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, psychoanalytic psychotherapy is just different too, right? Like there is a place for this or like I mean I don't want to represent like a psychoanalytic approach as like sort of the only approach that is valid or
Yeah. We got to be careful
is
about
is
that.
reasonable, right? Like that's not really what I'm saying, but it's more like there are certain kinds of things that you can derive from that kind of therapy that you're not going to derive from um, other kinds of therapies. One of the things that I think that is potentiated in that and like the existential frame, the
Yeah.
humanistic frame, some other sort of experiential therapies as well is like what we talked about, radical transformation, right? Like healing transformation, like
Yeah.
um, profound change and development, like the full resolution of symptoms, like
Yeah.
that's something that is available. But there is a place for management and there's a place for
Yeah.
awareness building, like there is a
Yeah.
place for these other kinds of therapies. And I don't want to I obviously have my bias or my feelings, but I don't want to necessarily represent myself as someone who can't, have a mind to these other kinds of approaches and what they
Mhm.
can offer people, right? So, yeah,
Yeah, and I shared in the chat this chat that I was having with ChatGPT
mhm,
about, first of all, finding some of the different therapy chatbots, and then asking how would one even program one that is closer to what we're
yeah,
talking about, right?
yeah,
And interestingly, one of the things that said is like, okay, if we were going to try to go with some, IFS, internal family systems, is
yeah,
something that it says that it map, because of its structured assumptions and the way that it does things, I guess, and its use of language, would be one that it would try to do as kind of a first
yeah, yeah,
attempt,
yeah,
right? It fits. It says it maps cleanly to AI architecture,
hmm hmm
right? So it's very interesting.
yeah,
Um, the more, again, psychoanalytic, psychodynamic in general, hard because you said, it's this subjective kind of spontaneous experience between two people, what is happening, and then between we ourselves don't even know, right? Sometimes it's just this
Well, it's
feeling,
like
there's something that arises in us.
working with the unconscious.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But let's keep going, because I'm very impressed by this bot here. So it says, thank you for sharing that. It took courage to try, and a panic attack in those moments is genuinely overwhelming, not a sign of failure. I think I now have a good enough picture of what you've been going through, and I'd like to take a moment to reflect back what I've heard to make sure I've understood you correctly. I love this app this bot is so personable. Like they've done a really good job with that too.
Yeah.
And so clean.
Yeah.
Like we
Not
I
a
like
lot
that
of
we just came from
gobbledygook.
Feel Better Bot, where you look
Feel
so
worse bot.
dismayed, Richard. You look so like
Feel worse bot.
yeah.
I was confused.
Feel worse bot.
Like, where do I even start? Like, it's like this long output.
Yeah. But like Ilomia is clean, concise, to the point, thoughtful. It's good. It's good.
I was gonna say, now I know what my wife feels like all the time when I give her these long diatribes about things. Now I understand on a visceral level.
You have some empathy.
Yeah. Thank you, Feel Better Bot. So in some way, it did help me.
It did help you. You're going to try to be more concise now. Whoa. Okay. It's given me a lot.
Hey,
You know what I love, though, that it's rather than doing its fulsome reflection the moment I speak, it asks me 5 or 6 concise questions, and is again kind of abstinent, and then it provides its.
Yeah, that's good. That's better. Yeah.
Since your husband John, here's what I'm hearing. Since your husband John passed away, a fear of being attacked has grown so strong that it keeps you from leaving home, even though you've never actually been attacked. You have a loving family and a full life indoors, quilting, bridge, shows, but you miss the activities you used to enjoy, like lawn bowling and going to the movies. The couple of times you tried going out with your son and sister, panic took over and forced you back inside, which must have been deeply discouraging. It seems like John's presence gave the outside world a sense of safety that left it with him. Does that sound right to you?
That's pretty good.
I'm gonna say yeah, kinda. I'm gonna say pretty much.
It's checking for understanding it summarized.
I'm gonna say, here's what I'm gonna say though. I'm gonna say, I mean, I also say I mean a lot when I talk to chatbots for some reason. I never really felt afraid when John was alive, even when I wasn't with him. But ever since he died, now I feel very afraid. I'm really trying to emphasize the grief piece, because it's leaning towards the John was protective, and that's not the way I'm going with this client. That distinction is important. It sounds less like John needed to be physically beside you for you to feel safe, and more like the fear began after the loss itself and now appears whenever you consider leaving home. Yeah, good. Okay, and then it offers a practical technique. Would you like to try a practical technique that could help you begin approaching that fear more gradually?
And I just think at some point, that is part of therapy too, is that we need to experience something, we need to approach something, we have to re-engage with life again.
Yeah. We could try a gradual approach often used for strong fears. Instead of forcing yourself through an entire outing, you practice being near the feared situation in very small, manageable steps.
Yeah, sure.
With repetition,
Systematic
this can give your
desensitization.
mind
Yeah.
and body opportunities to learn from experience that leaving home does not automatically mean being attacked. We can start very gently here without asking you to leave the house today. Would you like me to guide you through the first step? Okay, well, we won't go through the intervention, but that's interesting. And why don't we open it up Chat's Choice now? Chat's Choice. So if anyone wants, like, if anyone is as excited about this bot as we are, because I'm pretty impressed by it.
I think we might have convinced people to stop seeing their therapist and using this bot. Glenn, this is bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my only criticism of it is just still that it's only offering one kind of approach, like CBT, right? So it's like there's like, a gradual exposure approach, like that's what it's landed on,
Yeah.
right? That's what it's going for, which is not unreasonable, but it doesn't, it's not really approaching, at least what in my mind would be the unconscious element for this client, right? Like that there are maybe certain kinds of feelings towards the husband that can't be expressed or that need to be understood as part of the experience of loss, and that the not going out is actually just a symptom of that. It's a symptom of that kind of conflict, right? So this is me just running with it, right? But like, I think that's true for a lot of people, right? Like that is the thing that is sort of the discrepancy, or like the thing that a psychoanalytic treatment offers that other conventional treatments don't, right? Is like an attention to the unconscious. Like that's why I'm a proponent of this kind of treatment, right? Is because it affords working in a particular territory that can be very meaningful, that other approaches don't necessarily go to, right? Like we're sticking with like, how do we get you out the door, right? As opposed to like, what is really keeping you inside, right? Like, and how long do we need to spend with that to understand it? Like what kind of understanding do we need to come to before you'll feel ready to actually leave again, right?
And what would you say some of the unconscious things that might be happening for this client when you were thinking about it?
Yeah. I mean, the main one would be, okay, here's where I'm going with this, right? I actually think that this was a patient that I met, so I think that this is actually drawn from a real life example. So I'll try not to say too much because I don't want any identifying information. But yeah, but I think actually that the way I'm imagining it is that this couple did not have a very good relationship, actually. This patient has a lot of unprocessed resentment towards their husband. But now that their husband is dead, they're not actually able to work with or process their resentment. Like there's not, it's very hard to be mad at people who have died, right? Like that alone is often enough to push angry feelings inwards, right? And so the anger that is really meant to be projected towards the husband is instead being projected towards the self. And so the sort of the fear of attack, so to speak, is actually kind of the experience of a self-attack. It's sort of like the internalized attack that the wife would like to leverage on her husband, but can't. And so instead she's sort of fantasizing it, or, happening to herself. I mean, basically she's attacking herself in the sense of she's kind of killing herself, right? Like she's stopped living in some sense, right? Like she's stopped going out, she stopped participating in her
idea
life.
of like depression as anger turned inward. I know that's an oversimplification.
For sure, right? Yeah. And this is her, like, she can't leverage the anger that she has towards her husband to him, so she's putting it instead towards herself. Like she would actually like, to be able to, hurt him in some way, right? But given that he's gone now, she can't, so she has to hurt herself instead.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's like a, I think that was the kind of conceptualization I came to when I was working with this particular patient, even.
And I think it also is important, what I'm realizing is really kind of tailoring the approach to the person and their capabilities, right? That requires potentially a long time and also like a certain level of cognitive ability and level of insight and introspection. And, in the meantime, this person is suffering and they're not leaving their house, right? So I would be curious to see, again, I have been trained in behavioral interventions. And actually, in some ways, I prefer more of a behavioral approach than even a CBT approach, because you're actually confronting, the fear and the emotions in a more direct way, in a gradual way.
Well, I mean, you could make the case that like gradual exposure might work and like might give her life back, right? I mean, what it doesn't address the whole piece attached to the husband or whatever made that be, right? But like it's very likely that through gradual exposure she could like go out again, right? And feel okay to go out again. She would suffer the anxiety and then like allow it to what's the word? dissipate. No, not dissipate. Should become desensitized, right? Like
It
it would.
says, yeah.
Yeah. I think you.
Yeah, and but I was going to say too. So yeah, the I might try something like that approach, and again, like it's not avoiding these difficult feelings, and you're actually going into it, and more information might emerge from that approach as well.
Yeah.
And what we might see too is that either that behavioral intervention, the person just doesn't do it, or it reaches some barriers, right? And then being able to really get to the reasons why behind that, such as you're describing, right? And the transference that is happening, and towards themselves even, is, might be the way through, right? So they might get better with the behavioral approach. I think it's going to have, probably some limits as well. And also, again, yeah, I guess it depends on where you're coming from. If our goal is also to really promote, yeah, which I think that is for us, to promote the person's understanding of themselves and their location in the world and relationships and
Yeah.
those pieces, to understand oneself.
Yeah. I
better.
mean, I think like I know when I met with this patient, and it was only a single time, like we did not really get into this, right? Like it was not, they were not there, they were not in the territory, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that was not the pathway of intervention that I took them down, right? But it was more like I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
It was on
Yeah,
my
that's it.
mind, right?
Yeah.
And it was like something that I kept sight of, so that even if
Absolutely.
like because it felt very real, and like there were
Yes.
elements that brought me to that conceptualization opposed to anything else. Like again, for instance, like the person's experience of like, yeah, I never felt this way before my husband died, and also them like, I didn't really feel like my husband was a protector. In fact, I was a caregiver for him before he died, and that was really hard. Like he was kind of a dick to me. Like they're kind of bringing me into, like there is a feeling of anger. There's a palpable feeling of
Yeah.
anger there, right?
Yeah.
But like it just couldn't come out, right? It felt inhibited. And so I was wondering, what are the consequences of that inhibition then, right? And it's perhaps this sense of not being able to get on with your own life and move on and move forward and be yourself. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like that would be like, I would just say, like, I'm kind of thinking of Colleen Gold. Like I would, an analyst I did a consultation group with in the spring, like she would say, like, you don't actually have to say these things to the client, right? Like you don't have
Yeah.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have to go there really. Like I think all that really matters is you just think it, right? Like you think about it,
That's a
right?
good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
You
it's like
just
you
don't,
have
you
it in
just,
the
yeah,
bank. You have it
yeah,
in the bank, so to speak,
yeah.
that when the connection needs to be made,
Or can even,
or
right?
can
Like,
be made, right? Like there's something there.
yeah,
And it also is, like, I think, again, subconsciously acting on how we frame the whole therapy,
yeah, that's right.
right? The fact that we're thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you might, like a behavioral intervention might be, it might
It
make
might and it
some
might
sense,
not.
or,
And
yeah,
again, I think that's,
yeah,
it is really important for therapists to also, and we do a very poor job of going into psychoanalytic and psychodynamic, because often we will see a block or a barrier, right? For a certain
yeah,
number of people, it
yeah,
will work well, and it might be a good kind of first line intervention. Okay. And then if it doesn't, right? Where,
yeah,
where are the barriers and these blocks in
yeah,
the unconscious? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, 100%. I mean, there is this idea of, there's an author out there that I would love for us to get on the podcast or if we can. He's not even an author. He's like a researcher and lecturer and professor at, I think, Columbia. Paul Watchell is his name. But I mean, I really like Paul's work. I've read quite a bit of it now, and I mean, he's such a thoughtful integrationist. Like a lot of his work is around integration, and he's like a psychoanalyst by training, but uses an integrated behavioral
I
practice,
love
and
that.
it's kind of like, he's so like, he has a very healthy attitude towards the multiplicity within the field of psychotherapy, right? Like he's very thoughtful about his use of integration, and he doesn't fall prey to what I think, what, like, I mean, I know I have, right? Like what we all can, right? Which is our kind of tribalism.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I'm getting more influenced by him, which is why I'm much more
That's great.
sympathetic now to like thinking about, the experience of the patient and their needs and the intervention across like multiple tracks, because
Mm-hmm.
there are lots of like I think important rationales for why one type of intervention makes sense over another. And we what I mean at the end of the day, like I think what matters most is the process of the patient, right? So we stay with them and what they feel they can handle and what is meaningful to them. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know
Cool.
if chat gave us anything for this bot.
Mm, if people would like to, okay.
Oh, AJ asked something. Oh, each question being asked is using 0.3 to 0.5 watt hours electricity,
Uh-huh.
just under 1 second of UGB use time, 0.5 to 2 milliliters of water, and 550 to 300 tokens.
Oh,
It's a
that's so
sobering reminder,
interesting.
AJ. Yeah.
Thank you for that background. It's good to know what we are utilizing. And
Mhm.
that's a great amount of expertise you're providing. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean I hope you. I mean, this is my friend AJ, so like I know who he is, but like I hope this is meant for good, AJ, right? Like this whole project is meant to be critical and critically explore AI, right? And I don't think that the final kind of conclusion that we would come to is like bring on the AI bots, right? And certainly the environmental toll is
Yeah, no.
a huge component of that. But yeah, I mean, good to be reminded.
And it's always the question too is, can this question be, does it need an AI, or can we use Google, right? Just a traditional
Yeah.
search engine. Can we use something else, right? It's always a question to be aware of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we've got two more bots in
Absolutely.
the docket, Richard. We've got Wiza and we've got Abby. I want to actually spend quite a bit of time with Abby because Abby is an interesting bot that kind of, I'm told, gets to know you and gets better and more effective over time. And I spent 20 minutes with Abby earlier in the day, bringing her into another character, and I kind of want to spend a good chunk. So I mean, are you okay if we skip Wiza and just focus
Yeah,
on Abby for the remainder of
sure.
this?
It sounds like Wiser you're having difficulty with anyway, weren't you?
Well, it's more. It's another iPad one too, and
Oh
so
yeah,
like
let's go to
it'll look
Abby.
better. It'll look better too if we stick with Abby.
Hmm.
I will say though, like I was impressed by some of the elements of Alomia. Like it was, um, kind of just swinging back to that. Like it was very
Yeah.
personable. They've tailored it well. It was very clean. Abby is not like that. I will say that much.
Okay.
Abby is more like our friends ChatGPT and a little bit like Doro. Oh, Glenn. Oh, yeah. Um, am I on the right browser? I think I am. I tried to make a character named Angela today, but I think it might just be
Mhm.
like Glenn. Let's just go. Hi, Abby. I'm back. Let's see if it calls me Angela or not. That'll. Ah, it does. Okay, so it remembers me. Oh, yeah, the text is really not standing out all that well. I don't know if I can change the formatting at all. Okay, so basically, I was playing around with Abby earlier, and oops, um, I made up a character, and her name was Angela, and she's 21 years old and lives in Vancouver and works at the Cactus Club. And
Mhm.
um, Abby kind of did a poor job with the intake. Like she asked me a little bit about my life, and I told her
Mhm.
those details, and then she honed in on work and what was
Yeah.
wrong. Like again, like very much felt like a new therapist. And
Mhm.
then I had to sort of be like, whoa, 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 Abby, I'm pumping the brakes. Like, I don't know, that's not what I want to talk about. And instead, I wanted to talk about my mom.
Mhm.
Angela has a narcissistic, mother who is self-absorbed and critical, and kind of absorbs all the energy in the family, and like it was more around these sort of relational experiences. So Abby eventually caught up, One thing I'll say is that Abby gave me the option of choosing the kind of approach that I wanted, which was kind of neat for a bot. So I chose a psychodynamic approach. I have yet to feel like I'm being supported psychodynamically, but Abby's interesting. We have the 7-day trial of Abby, so we really get to use Abby fulsomely. So that's kind of why I want to play with her a little bit more too. Okay.
And that's cool that you can pick the different styles. That's very neat.
Yeah, except that I don't actually think it means
Yeah,
anything.
it may, yeah. Does it really understand, or the programmers even understand what, it means to be psychodynamic? Yeah. It's like a flavor. Let's say it's a psychodynamic flavor.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see.
I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. So I do remember that you shared quite a bit about your family dynamics, especially your challenges with your mother and feeling disconnected from your family. You also talked about your work, your brother, and your friendship with your roommate, Catherine. Is there something from our earlier conversations you'd like to pick up on, or is something new on your mind today? I just wanted to talk more about my mom. I find it so hard to deal with her. Of course, Angela. I remember you've described your mom as critical, overbearing, and sometimes suffocating. Pretty good memory on this chatbot. And that being around her can be exhausting and stressful for you. You also mentioned that even after moving out, your interactions still feel difficult, and now that and not how you'd like them to be. What happened recently that made you want to talk more about her today? Okay, interesting question. This doesn't feel as good as Alomia. I don't know. Alomia, I almost felt like really understood by Alomia. That was weird.
Glenn's in love with Alomia.
Alomia moved me. I mean, I feel like I'm talking to a robot again. That is what I like. This is just not as personable as a bot. It's not quite as tailored. Being around it's sort of giving me everything verbatim. So like it's remembering me, but like there's nothing, like there's no complex reflection in this. Like I don't feel connected to any more of an understanding about myself from this yet. But obviously, okay, it's early days. So let's go back to it. I saw her today. We had lunch, and it was the worst. She talked the whole time. She told me about what was going on with her and my dad and her work. I felt like I could barely get a word in edgewise. And then she went after me again about not going to school. And it sucked. So part of what I'm thinking about it, but Angela and her mother, is that like Angela's mom really wants her to go to university, and she's just doesn't want to go to university. She wants to do something else, or she's just not sure yet. Maybe she does want to go to university, but this is sort of her protest against her mother. This is the one way she's seizing power and control in her life. I don't know yet, but that's sort of, there's like a point of tension between them that is the point of tension between them. Yeah. That sounds really tough, Angela. You were hoping to have a pleasant lunch, but instead it turned into her dominating the conversation and criticizing your choices, especially about school. I can imagine feeling trapped and probably even a bit invisible in those moments. How did you handle it while it was happening? Were you able to say anything, or did you just try to get through the meal? So it's kind of asking me how I coped. And again, kind of that binary question. I just tried to get through the meal. I just tell my mom I'm not ready for school. I want to work and travel a bit and have fun. She tries so hard to convince me to go. She thinks I should go into nursing, but I don't want to do that at all. I don't like blood or bodily fluids. You're doing your best to be honest with her, but she keeps pushing her own ideas and not really hearing what you want. That must feel invalidating, especially since nursing isn't remotely what you're interested in. It's understandable that you feel drained by these conversations. It sounds like she has her own vision for your life and has a hard time accepting that you want something different. Do you feel she ever really listens to your dreams, or does it always circle back to her expectations? Always her expectations. Okay, well, let's take a second and think about this one. Yeah. AJ, I do want you to outline the ethical issues with these bots, actually. That's kind of like, that's an important thing that we want to talk about, right? Like, that is part of our concern with the use of these bots, our ethical concerns. I mean, part of what we're testing is whether or not these bots, like, I think, what do I want to say? I mean, part of it is this is sort of a comparative analysis. Like, we are just sort of seeing how human are these? Like, how do they measure up against real therapy practice?
Sure.
For sure. So there's sort of like, we'll do when you guys are ready. We're ready now, man. We're ready right now.
Throw down.
I think I'm noticing I'm getting a little bit tired of talking to bots. We've been doing this for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
We gotta take this somewhere else, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so great to hear from a chatter, you know? Like, it's just so great to hear from a chatter. Yeah. I mean, I guess the bigger concern though, like, is, for me at least, like, just comes back to the social, cultural, economic implications of chatbots, right? Like, already, like, so much of our podcast has been around like concerns around the dehumanization of psychotherapy, right? Like, Richard and I share in a humanistic ethos, you know, and both, you know, draw heavily from the humanistic stance, right? And, you know, understand therapy as something that, I guess is like, the way I think about it is, you know, is predicated on the autonomy and the freedom of the person. Like, I really think of psychotherapy as just something that helps people to be more who they are, right? Like, I really think of psychotherapy as just being about the truth, right? And about helping people into the truth, you know, of their experience. Even if that truth is a very painful one, even if it's a difficult one, right? It's like, it's psychotherapy predicated on the truth. But I mean, so much of psychotherapy today in the contemporary era is about functionality, right? It's about supporting to people to be functional to the culture of capitalism, which is really, like, I think just predicates the kind of alienation that structures are suffering in the first place. In many respects, it kind of becomes a reproduction of it. So, like, a big part of our playing with AI chatbots too is just seeing, like, is that what they do too, right? Like, is that also what they do? Like, how much of that? Because that, like, that I think, for me, that becomes the fear, right? Is like, okay, so psychotherapy is already losing some of its human character, is no longer really about, you know, being human, helping people to be human, helping people into the truth of what they are, into the truth of their experience. And now it's not even done by humans. And so, like, you know, as if we already weren't in a difficult enough situation, like, you know, can these chatbots really help us with that at all? Like, you know, what does this mean? You know, what does this mean for our industry in the long run? So, I mean, yeah, as much as I'm like, oh, these bots sound good, they're interesting, they're fun, it's like, you know, we have big fears. I have big fears. I don't want this. You know, I don't think a lot of therapists want this. I think we're deeply concerned about the implications of this coming online. But I think, as Richard and I talked about, like, it doesn't help to put your head in the sand about it, right? Like, you have to engage with it. I mean, that's part of why we're here. Feel it out, have an experience with it, talk about it, and hopefully, like, structure a dialogue around it that helps people understand the limitations of these bots and the values of different approaches to psychotherapy, and some of the dangerous implications of engaging with these kinds of bots, right? I mean, I think it was Wiza, which we didn't really play with. It might have been Doro too. Like, one of the things that they have built into them now is that they can, like, push notifications, and they can offer, like, videos and articles and meditations and things like that. Like, we're not that far from, you know, being marketed to by our AI therapist apps, right? Like, being pushed towards particular types of content, I mean, all of this, I'm just thinking all of this can be monetized, right?
Yeah.
For the benefit of the organization that runs the model. So I mean, as if like, as if we weren't getting far enough away from, a space where we can be ourselves and be with the truth of what we are, by virtue of, therapy's increasing focus on just like functionality. Like now you know, we can't even, that space is violated by, you know, advertisements, right? Like we just can't get away from it. I'm losing steam, Richard. What do you got? Make us
Yeah, I think I was talking with it was interesting. I ran into this gentleman the other day. We were playing with our kids in the park, and he actually has a background. He's an AI developer, so it's very timely. And actually, he taught me a lot. It was very, very interesting. And he is somebody who got fired apparently uh, because of AI, right? Now that's a whole arguable thing. Apparently, how much are those companies saying, okay, well, we are getting rid of people because of AI because that looks really good to our shareholders versus other reasons, right? They hired too many people in the first, whatever. But yeah, it's very dependent on the ethics of these companies. And he said something. He's like, yeah, my job kind of has been replaced in many ways. I'm kind of going a different way, still within AI, but more of the again, fundamental development versus just kind of the coding. And he's like, isn't your career kind of also going to be replaced soon too? And I'm like, well, maybe, maybe not. And we had an interesting discussion kind of about what maybe AI can do and what can't. Like, and I think, the way that I generally use AI is I'm using like secure transcription and summary kind of services like Clarify. I'm using, we talked about the purposes of using the app to help kind of reduce human drudgery, right? That's very different than the purposes of these chatbots, right? These chatbots are trying to potentially replace humans. And it also, as you've kind of hinted at, Glenn, it really forms a very particular idea of what therapy is. So from his definition, I think even where he was saying, it was like, well, if we imagine therapy is CBT, right? We imagine it as a particular type of thing, right? If it's just reflection, right? Whatever that, right? Then okay, then we've already been replaced. But there is, I think also it kind of speaks to a broader effort that I think as therapists we need to have, because sometimes as therapists we don't get outside of the office enough and advocate and provide very good mental health literacy. And also I think our associations need to do this more, right? And that public education, right, I think is really, really needed, because people are interacting with these chatbots and other forms of AI and don't even second guess, or like, oh, well, I guess it has some problems, but it's more helpful than not. So whatever, right? So, for me, more and more as I move further into my career, I think more about policy. How can we influence policy in an ethical way? More regulation on these companies, not to stop all development, but to put more safeguards, right? So you can't just do whatever you want, right? If it's harming people, this is what the safeguards that need to happen, right? So yeah, I don't know. Those are just a few of my thoughts.
I took that in, and I'm just trying to like think about how to respond. Yeah, I mean, like I think the AI, sort of AI space or AI context. Oh, we got a comment from Kelly here. Turning to AI because they don't want to burden a human with the problems that they minimize. Yeah, wow. I mean, that's
a good point.
That's such a good point. Yeah. Like that is more like kind of repeating like a relational pattern of like like there's lots of people that are avoidant or that can't
Yeah.
like avoid relationships or don't feel safe to deal with problems in relationships.
Kind of
So
like a
it's like a repetition of
self-censoring.
that. Yeah.
And let's be honest too. Again, we discussed a lot about capitalism. Good therapy is user pay and
Yeah.
is expensive, right?
Yeah.
And right now, there is, I do want to mention this, right? The Mental Health Parity Act is being discussed in Parliament. A private member bill, actually from somebody on the island, has put this bill with a lot of advocacy from various, Canadian Mental Health Association, Canadian Counselling and Psychotherapy Association, other patients groups. The U.S. already has this bill, a Mental Health Parity Act, which dramatically increased the amount of coverage, or where before there was almost no coverage for mental health, right? About 20 years ago. So we still don't really cover mental health properly in the Canada
Yeah.
Health Act, right? So this is the other reason, right? People are like, well, it's better than I'll take this because I'm getting, it feels good in a sense, right? It can be flattering, it's getting feedback. It's giving me some type of feedback. I don't feel so alone. People are desperately alone, right?
Yeah.
I think there's huge human costs. We are, I mentioned AI psychosis, I think it can reinforce increasing loneliness and disconnection, just as we saw with the advent of social media to today, and create an echo chamber kind of ideas. But
Yeah.
it's people are desperate, right? And I think we have to underlie that and how it lies within
Sure.
capitalism, right? It's hard to get good help. It's not easy. It's not cheap, and there's wait lists.
Yeah. For sure. I'm just thinking though that says more about like that it more just reveals. God, I'm tired. It more just like it says more just about like the structural problems in our society than it like I can see how AI is a solution to that, but it doesn't really address the fact that why do we underfund mental health care in the first place, right? One major ethical issue I see is that the corporatization of mental or physical health, what is going to happen to therapy when these companies have a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders, 100%. And we already see that in all of the, there's so many now, I forget the name of what they're called, but these big private equity companies that own mental health platforms, right? Like private mental health support platforms like BetterHelp and things like that in the States. Yeah. And they're
Walmart, as we mentioned in our first episode, I think has been
totally.
getting into therapy. So it's all about providing therapy, and I'm going to use quotes, right, as cheaply as possible, right?
Yeah.
And curious to see how the long-term results of what that is, right? And certainly paying therapists next to nothing as well. So there's kind of issues on both sides. It shapes that this is what therapy is. And I think many people leaving with a less than satisfactory experience, right? What can you do in a very, very limited, you have administrators breathing over your neck, right?
It becomes commodification. What happens to therapy when therapy becomes a commodity that is bought and sold and capitalized on versus traditionally there was an exchange. There's always been a financial exchange for therapy, which is just more about supporting the livelihood of the therapist. But through these apps now, it's not about the therapist anymore. It's about support. It's about capitalists making money, right? It's about people making money. And so that just fundamentally changes the whole experience of the service. And I mean, even the purpose of it, it's not about helping people anymore then, right? It's just about making money.
And as AJ might have suggested, when you have a small, right, what we're seeing is more and more monopolies, right? A smaller number of corporations that ignore regulation, right? And they're like, well, we'll do the worst things until, we'll get caught and we'll pay the fine, right? That really, that's very kind of 1984 Brave New World style, right? Of we're controlling information, right? In 1984, this, or was it in Fahrenheit 491 or something? This idea that the newspaper, right, if it disagreed with the politics, it would get erased and a new paper would be released. Like, we don't need newspaper anymore. Like the internet easily, right? We can change, information on a website. So it's that kind of again, who is controlling and shaping what mental health is and to what outcomes. You made a very good point about, and I didn't think about that even deeply enough, about all the things it's marketing to us,
Yeah.
right? Directly or indirectly, right? A lot of marketing is indirect too. So it's priming us so that when we are standing at Walmart, right, then we are going to pick a certain product because of particular words or a particular image that's been thrown into mind, right? Are the metaphors it's going to use going to prime us to buy certain things, right, that are
Yeah.
also supported by the company? Like, that's the level. Like, I don't think that is a conspiracy theory or crazy talk.
No, I think that that's actually what's happening, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and or that is what will inevitably happen. Like, as long as these bots are have the backing of big capital, like they will ultimately be about generating money for the people that own them. They will not really be about the well-being of the people that use them. PA Mental Health brought to you by Pfizer, introducing Soma. Yeah,
Absolutely. That's where a lot of
100%.
money is in the pharmaceutical
100%.
companies. And good point, EJ2, majority of farmland to make way for data centers, causing major physical and mental health issues on the people nearby them, for
Yeah.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Keep going back
Great
to,
points,
like, I
Michael.
guess what Isabel Marlar said, though, like, when we think about AI and psychotherapy, or when we think about AI in
Mm-hmm.
general, even, like, we should think about it less about like what AI can do for us
Mm-hmm.
and more what it says about us, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, and I think that, AI is speaking to, um, well, it's speaking to the emptiness of our lives, right? Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
speaking to sort of the fundamental traumas that we're structured around, and it for us, I think it represents, like, that's why it's so attractive, is it represents this, like, there's sort of a paradox in AI psychotherapy, I think, which is a therapist who is not a human, right? Like a therapist
Mm-hmm.
beyond vulnerability, essentially. And like, I think that that is the fantasy that we have in psychotherapy too, that psychotherapy will take us beyond vulnerability, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, like, the paradox of psychotherapy is that it takes us into vulnerability. Psychotherapy is about becoming less defended. Like, that is how we grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we become more and more open to experiences that we previously couldn't tolerate.
And that's dangerous to the status quo too, right?
Yeah.
Therapy, I think, and I read, like, I was really influenced by Psychotherapy East and West by Alan Watts, which you
Yeah.
suggested to me and I taught in a class.
Yeah.
Um, Still think about it regularly. That therapy is supposed to empower people, and therapy is supposed to, help people again have a better understanding of reality, understanding that there's a game, how to play that
Yep.
game better,
Yep.
um, and and live, a better life, a life according kind of to, that's more values led and people driven, relationally driven, and yeah, very very different than the motives of these apps, certainly these
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah. I
Let's say.
mean, I think we can just say that there's a separate kind of ethos penetrating the space of psychotherapy now, which is like the ethos of capitalism. Like, it's just about making money,
Hmm.
and I mean, that has been felt in other ways, but this seems to be the most blatant play at it. The
Hmm.
whole effort to develop an AI psychotherapist is really about, creating something cheap, right, and readily dispensable and easy to capitalize on, because, like, therapists think about these things, like
Hmm.
therapists, like, there are people obviously on these platforms, these,
Yeah.
like, private, psychotherapy platforms, but, like, there's a lot of therapists that are critical of them. Like, there's a big
Yeah.
protest within the therapy community about these, platforms, because they're so predatory, because it's so bad for therapists and clients alike,
Hmm.
actually. So, I mean, part of the interest of, an AI psychotherapist is that it's, AI psychotherapists don't talk back, right? Like, they just do what they're programmed to
Yeah,
do, and yeah,
that's right.
they don't think about it, right? Like, they live in a data center, and that, data centers don't need health benefits. They don't need a pension. They don't need to feed
Hmm.
kids, right? They just run.
And I can
So,
think about things like a classic example when I worked for an EAP, and how they were very explicit in their training that if something was coming up about how the person might want to leave their job, that I was not supposed to approach that topic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so certainly an AI would just follow that policy exactly, right?
Yeah.
Even if it meant the long-term detriment, right? There was times where I definitely broke that rule because I could see that, it wasn't just a change of attitude or some coping that needed to be adjusted. In some cases it was, right?
Yeah.
Person had poor coping tool, poor support. Okay, fine. But it was a very toxic work that was literally destroying kind of their soul and personhood. Well, I'm not going to support that, right? I'm going to help the client, support them in what might be, as you mentioned earlier with playing with the chatbot, of what might be that other future that they might imagine, right? I'm going to go where the client takes me, right? And so I think good therapy is actually quite dangerous to the status quo.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean that should be our motto, Richard. That should be the therapeutic practice motto. Kelly, you said, what about countertransference? What do you mean, what about countertransference?
Yes, please.
Do you mean that AI chatbots don't have countertransference and that's a good thing, or? AJ, I'll respond to your question first because Kelly hasn't clarified yet. I mean, I think that's an ongoing problem, right? Like we kind of tested the limits earlier. I don't know if you were on earlier. Richard got real psychotic with ChatGPT just to see what it would do. AI wouldn't have any, would it? Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't in the sense. It's not necessarily a good thing. You're 100% right because I know you're wise to this kind of thing. Yeah, no, because I mean we need countertransference in some sense we like countertransference is not a problem. It's important actually. It's just the feelings of the therapist about the client. Those are like that's hugely important, essential for psychotherapy, right? Okay, chat is lagged by 10 seconds. Good to know. AI wouldn't have any countertransference. Doesn't mean that AI wouldn't have any bias though, and I think that's kind of what we're speaking to is the idea that like these models can be and are programmed biasly, right? So they have a kind of bias. And whereas like the biases that we have are often like they are like we have cultural biases, like we have political biases, we have personal biases, like we also go through a process of trying to become more aware of those biases through supervision, through our own psychotherapy, through ongoing professional development. These models, they have their biases. They're not interrogated. They're built around biases, and those biases are instantiated into them. And sometimes that's the point, right? Like that's the point is like a, we want a particular bias. Like we want to build a tool that, is biased towards, like Richard said, like EAP might jump all over this. Like, oh, we can build a tool then that like selectively avoids conversations about people talking about how they don't like their jobs, right? Like
because the employer
AI
pays for the EAP. Yeah.
Yeah. So the EAP, because I'm sure that EAPs at some point will jump all over these chatbots. They're probably one of the organizations.
They already are starting
yeah.
to. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a bias that they could hard code into the
policy. Yeah.
the policy or into the functioning of the bot that actually forecloses the possibility of certain kinds of discussions.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that is like the center of all of this in some sense, right? Is like, I think when we think about it like a humanistic ethos in psychotherapy, like we're thinking about like psychotherapy is a space where a person can be free to be themselves, right? Like that is the gift. Like if we think about what Carl Rogers wanted for his clients, right? Like it was to create a space where people can be free to be what they are, right?
Yeah.
And can contact that freedom and understand that freedom and work with and use that freedom. And that he felt that the problems that people face are not problems, that are brought by other kinds of factors. They're problems related to the freedom or the person, like the agency of the person, right? Their contact with themselves, or the lack of contact with themselves, right? So I mean, in some sense, that is the bar that like all psychotherapies are measured against in some sense, right? Or like it's at least an important part of the dialogue around what psychotherapy is, what constitutes psychotherapy. But I mean, that's out of the conversation here. Like that's not what these bots are thinking about. These bots are not thinking about freedom. They're not thinking about, a space where people can be what they are, right? Like they're programmed to engage in a very particular way. And whether that way is just to be solution focused, which is also not about freedom, right? But is like not necessarily the worst thing. Like there are times and places where that kind of approach can be useful or meaningful, right? Like like there can be like that, like the bigger concern is how these companies are going to use these in the long run to force, I guess, like political or cultural agendas. So yeah, it's funny, I'm just thinking about like the tone of the stream it's changed. I mean, it's fun to engage with the models. Like there's sort of two levels, I guess, that I feel like I've been like in myself, I guess. Like I feel like I'm having two different types of experiences. It's fun to engage with these just as a therapist on a technical level, thinking about how they can replicate the experience of therapy. And it is kind of instructive, like to go through that process. Like it gets you thinking more about what therapy is, and like it's, so in that sense it's kind of educational and interesting. But then yeah, there's this whole other level, which is just like, oh yeah, if we just stay there, then we forget that like there is a whole other level to this around like the political and cultural implications of AI chatbots. So AJ, I actually really want to thank you. I'm glad you were here. Glad you brought up even the idea of ethical issues, because we might have just stayed with the technical dimension of this all night, which, I mean, it's interesting, it's cool. It's still a dialogue about therapy and what constitutes therapy, but I mean, this is the kind of conversation I think that we really want to be having, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, folks, I think we might be there.
It's getting close to 3 hours, I think so.
Yeah, I think we might be there. But I want to invite chat, if anyone has some final thoughts, that you want to bring to the discussion tonight.
Or final resources, links, please, to read.
Anything, really. We're happy to hear. And just like, I feel like this has been a lot of fun and really interesting. I think I want to do this again, maybe not around chatbots, but we could maybe do some live streaming occasionally if people liked it, and
have a panel, maybe have some
people
audience members or
more others. Topical discussions. Yeah, I love you too, AJ. Thanks for being a part of it, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks again everyone for joining us. I hope it was like entertaining and informative and interesting. I mean, it is I think it is one of the hottest topics on the horizon in psychotherapy right now. So I'm glad that we're out there engaging with it, thinking about it, trying out these models. We probably won't stop, because I think, like Richard, like you said, I think you're so right. Like we've got to, like, part of being a responsible therapist is paying attention to these and working with these, right? Like,
our clients are using them even while they are going to therapy, so we need to be able to inform them of the strengths and weaknesses, for sure.
Absolutely, and I mean, I feel enriched having an experience with multiple apps now and having a sense of how they work and function in different ways. Yeah,
this is good. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thanks again. 100% AJ. Thanks, Kelly. Okay, take care, you guys.